A Thursday edition of the Sports Bash starts now. What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Mike Gill, Josh Henning, producing today's show. You out there, a Thursday show in which the Phillies snap a little two-game skid. No sleepless in Seattle today, as the Phils with a impressive win yesterday, shutout win over the Mariners. A lot of storylines from the game we're going to get into. Fun day yesterday at Ventnor Social. Thanks to them, as always, for hosting us. We had a great time, great weather, outside, hanging out, loving it. We're getting to the stretch run of the season, though, and you need a game like yesterday to get you back on track. Phillies win 6-0, but the story in the game, there's a couple of them. Really one that stands out at the top of the list for me is Jesus Luzardo. We'll get into him. A dominant outing. He retires, the first 14 batters of the game in order. 7 scoreless, 9 strikeouts, 1 hit on the day. And the season that Luzardo's having, we talked about him yesterday. With Zach Wheeler and Christopher Sanchez, Luzardo's kind of getting overshadowed a little bit. He went over 200 strikeouts for the season yesterday. In his last 5 starts, ERA 190. Some people are wondering, we were talking a little bit about it yesterday during the game, is Luzardo the most consistent guy that the Phillies have right now? In other words, if the Phillies were to play a playoff game tomorrow, who do you want to get the ball? Luzardo, Wheeler, or Sanchez? I think there's a legitimate conversation to be had there, especially when it comes to Luzardo versus Wheeler. Sanchez, I thought Oscar brought up an interesting point on yesterday's show. We got Phillies Fastball tonight at 5:30. Christopher Sanchez's splits between the home and the road are pretty significant. Right now, the Phillies, if the playoffs were to start, would be obviously on the road. You going with Christopher Sanchez. Now, by the way, in the wild card round, all 3 games, if you get to a third game, they're all on the road. That's one of the disadvantages of being the lower seed in those playoff games in the wild card, that you would have to go on the road and play all 3 games currently at Wrigley Field. But when you look at it in a game 1 scenario, who's the guy that you trust the most right now on the road to pitch a game? I thought that was one of the things that made me kind of think about yesterday's game is, here's Jesus Luzardo. The team's on a 2-game skid. They just haven't played well. He's on the road in Seattle, and he goes out there and dazzles. You know what his road numbers are this year? 8-0 with a 179 ERA. In 85 innings, he has 110 strikeouts. I mean, those numbers, those road numbers for Jesus Luzardo are eye-popping. By the way, at home, Luzardo is 4-5 with an ERA of 4.52, 93 strikeouts in 77 innings. I mean, 12 home runs he's given up at the friendly confines of Citizens Bank Park. Those splits are pretty significant. 8-0 on the road, 2 home runs, by the way, in 85 innings he's given up for Luzardo. Now, let's flip the script and look at our friend Christopher Sanchez. We know that Sanchez is having a dominating year. He's 16-4 with a 2.62 ERA and a 1.22 whip. By the way, not over 200 strikeouts yet, but on the road, a little different story for him than at home. And on the road, Sanchez, 5-3 with an ERA of 4.07. Opponents are hitting 3.04 against him. At games at Citizens Bank Park. By the way, Sanchez on the road has given up 10 homers, Luzardo 2. At home at Citizens Bank Park, Christopher Sanchez is 11-1 with a 1.68 ERA. He's got 117 strikeouts in 102 innings, and opponents are hitting 223 against him. I mean, that's the difference. Sanchez at home is Christopher Sanchez, and on the road, he's Aaron Nola. It's unbelievable, the numbers and the difference between Sanchez and the home and road splits. So is it a legitimate question to ask? Now, it's a weird situation because you're in a spot here where Luzardo is perfect on the road this year, 8-0. Sanchez is much better at home. Now, if you're a wild card team, you do not get games at home. So you have to pitch Sanchez somewhere. Do you want it to be first, or do you want it to be maybe second? Do you look at Luzardo and say, we're going to pitch Luzardo and hope that he wins that game, and now we have 2 cracks to win 1 game, and then Wheeler, you throw him into the mix. Let's get him involved here. His splits at home and road are about the same. He's a little bit better at home than he is on the road. The one road thing that stands out to me that is a little weird, he's given up 12 home runs on the road. He's given up 7 at home. The same goes for Sanchez. He gave up way more homers on the road than he does at home. Luzardo's completely the opposite. I mean, you would think at Citizens Bank Park, easier ballpark to hit in, smaller ballpark, you would think that the home run ball would hurt you more in Citizens Bank Park, but that's not the case here. So, big takeaway from yesterday's game is Luzardo establishing himself as a guy who has earned the right to be in the conversation to be your number 1 starter if the game is on the road. Now, if it's a home game at Citizens Bank Park, game 1 of a playoff series, I think you go with Sanchez. I think Wheeler's a wild card right now. I mean, Wheeler right now, think about this. In the month of August, Wheeler is 0-3 with a 7.59 ERA. Opponents are hitting .291 against him. He has 15 walks in 21 innings. This is un-Zach Wheeler-like. So I definitely think there's a question at least between Luzardo and Wheeler. Fair or unfair?
Very fair.
Now, if you're on the road and you play at Wrigley Field to start the playoffs, who's getting the ball in game 1? Luzardo or Sanchez?
I mean, I would give it to Luzardo 10 times out of 10. He has proven not just this year, but previous years, he is so good on the road. He is so reliable on the road.
And Sanchez, by the way, has not only been bad on the road this year, he's been bad on the road in his career.
Correct. So to me, this is a very easy answer. You put Luzardo on the road, you put Sanchez at home, and you go to Wheeler and be like, Zach, we have faith in you that you can, go back in the time machine a little bit.
Well, I'll tell you what, you would be setting up a situation if you went with Luzardo in 1, if you went with Luzardo in 1 and Sanchez in 2, you would be in a situation where you would potentially have Zach Wheeler being the guy that if you had a 1-1 series that you would need him to pitch that series.
I mean, it's certainly possible. I wouldn't hate that, because I ask you, Mike, how much do you think is just Wheeler having a bit of a rough month? Is it really Zach Wheeler, or is it just, hey, that you just had a major surgery, was it 11 months ago? Give a little slack maybe, right?
Well, I'll tell you what. Yes, it's fair to say, hey, he had major surgery, give him a little slack, but guess what? You kind of need him right now.
Sure.
So I got to take it all into account. Yeah, I'm giving you slack, but I also have you can help me or not.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, the way he's pitched in August with an ERA of August 7.59. And by the way, in July, he was 3.90, which isn't awful, but
it's not Zach Wheeler.
It's not Zach Wheeler. You start to push 4, you're not Zach Wheeler. You're just a guy. 7.59, you're an unpitchable guy.
Very unpitchable.
609-403-0973. Nola gets no run support from Chad and the Villas. Well, he's pitched pretty well. I think they've won, 4 out of his last 5 starts?
Yeah, but his previous 4 starts before that, they lost all of them, and he pitched well in 3 of those 4. So
I talked about it 2 months ago, that Nola had started to kind of, been okay, nothing special. People were saying, I said, hey, he's just been okay. And since that time, Nola's been even better. I mean, his ERA is almost under 5 now, which, you would say, 5's terrible. Yes, I know. But at one point, not too long ago, it was over 6.
Exactly.
And he has got himself, in the month of August, Nola's 279. ERA, and opponents are hitting just 231 against him. And the big thing there for him is the fact of the matter of the strikeouts have gone way up.
Yep.
37 strikeouts for Aaron Nola. And people forget, Nola was a premier strikeout pitcher. He's one of the top strikeout pitchers in the history of the franchise. I just don't think we think of Nola as a strikeout pitcher.
Well, because he's not that classic, flame throwing Roger Clemens-esque type pitcher. But I was saying while you were out last week, Mike, that for me, I think it's so important for Nola to get strikeouts because it's the only thing that keeps hitters off kilter. He doesn't have Mizorowski's fastball. He doesn't have this crazy slider or splitter. What he has is the ability to change levels, get hitters off balance, and the threat of the strikeout. When he's averaging a strikeout per inning, it now creates doubt in the hitter's mind when it comes to facing him. And that doubt is so key to his success.
Well, the Phillies could certainly use that guy. I look at him as a key guy because he would pitch anytime you need a fourth starter. He would be the guy that pitches. So he does have a role that the Phillies definitely need. Another question from the game. Is Luzardo establishing himself as a possible game one option if you're on the road? I think if you're at home, it's definitely Christopher Sanchez.
Yes.
Because Luzardo struggles at home, by the way.
Very much so.
His numbers at home are not very good. But Luzardo's got to be thought of if you play Chicago at Wrigley Field.
Absolutely.
2. Yesterday, big game from Schwarber. 4th career 40 home run season after the home run yesterday. 3 RBI. He has the most home runs in the majors since 40 home run seasons, since 2022. Most in the majors. Ohtani and Judge both have 3 40 home run seasons since 2022. Schwarber now has 4. So as we come down the stretch here, we talked about it at the beginning of the year when he signed this contract. Is he really going to hit 58 homers again? I don't think that's going to happen. But can he get himself to 50 home runs? Because if he can, that means he's launching 10 more bombs with just over a month left in the season. Does he have enough gas in the tank to get himself to 50 home runs for the second consecutive years? Because if that happens, all of a sudden, you're looking at an offense that has a guy on an MVP-like tear for the last month of the season. Could he carry this offense with 10 bombs between August 27th today and the last day of the season, which it's a little early this year. I think the last the last game of the season this year.
I think it's like the 27th or 28th.
It is the 27th, so exactly 1 month to go from today. That last Sunday, they play Tampa Bay in Philadelphia. What are you betting on? That he hits 50 homers or comes up short?
I think he can get the 50 because when he starts hitting them, like the home run you saw last night, that's the Kyle Schwarber home run yesterday in Seattle. Like that's the home run when he's going good. And, maybe he's finally overcome the whatever his stomach bug he had in Miami and the back issue that's been rumored. Maybe he's finally past all of that and maybe he's finally feeling like himself again.
Well, they need it. They'll definitely need it. They'll need one of these guys because the other guy, how sustainable is what Bryce Harper's doing right now? This hot streak that he is on, 2-run homer in the first, 27th of the year, on-base streak extended to 29 games, made a big play out in right field. As Harper continues to split time between, not really split time, I mean, the fact that he's been DHing a little bit here, but I think he's primarily back to right field now.
Yes.
Because you got Schwarber playing a little first base the last week or so. But as he's playing more outfield, can he continue this streak of I don't know, has he been an elite guy? That was the big conversation in the offseason. He right now, 2 for 4, 27 homers, 2 RBI, 4th consecutive multi-hit game. I mean, Harper's on a heater right now.
During his 25-game on-base streak, he has a .330 batting average, a .491 on-base percentage, a .591 slug. He has 28 walks in that stretch with 5 homers and 14 RBI.
How much of this has coincided with Arise?
Well, he started that before Arise.
That's what I'm saying. How much
did Arise amplify it?
Has this kind of been helped out by Arise hitting behind him? I'm just like wondering if that has something to do with him really starting to take off. I mean, you might look at the month of August, 338, 509 on base, 818 slugged, 1,000 over 1,000 OPS. I mean, he's been just absolutely on a tear. 5 homers, 12 RBI. The strikeouts are way down. 19 strikeouts in August. He had 31 in July. So it's a pretty considerable cut.
I think that the Rise thing has helped in that, as Harper mentioned a couple of weeks ago, when he got walked, for them to get to Arias, he said after the game, he's like, I think it's the first time I've ever been walked in my life to get to somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was the moment that maybe he realized how much Luis Arias is helping behind him.
Another thing that we're starting to see, you got Harper in right field, Bryson Stott at third base. What a play he made in the third inning, that diving backhand, and then the throw. It was our old friend Weston Wilson who hit that ball, by the way.
Yes.
But it's the 16th shutout of the season for the Phillies, by the way, and it was helped by that defense. You know, are they better defensively with this new alignment? Stott at third, Arise at second, Bohm at first, Harper in right. Is this a team that's better defensively, and maybe is that helping out a little bit?
I wouldn't go that far because I don't think that Arias is an upgrade over Stott at second. I think Turner still is below average at best at short, and Bohm, the only thing he has over Harper at first is he's longer. It's not like he's better at first. He's just a bigger target.
Well, Harper I think was pretty mediocre, to be fair, at first base this year. I don't know that Bohm's a Gold Glover over there by any stretch of the imagination. Right. And I don't know that Harper's great in right field either, but it just seemed I think Stott is definitely an upgrade over Bohm at third.
Stott's the upgrade. Stott's at third has been a revelation.
And then the bottom of the order. Do they have enough depth at the bottom of the order when your Schwarber, your Harper, that crew is not having a good day? Justin Crawford, RBI single, second inning. He's been, a lot of production here recently. I was looking at his numbers this morning because we didn't know what to expect from Crawford. Like, what's a good year for Crawford after what he did in AAA last year? How does that translate to the big leagues? He's hitting 267, which is, good. In today's world, he's great, 267. On base, 314, nothing special. But Justin Crawford, I think what he's doing is much like Arise, he's a guy that puts the ball in play. He makes things happen, and he's starting to get some of these balls now to fine grass. In the month of August, 313, 352 on base. The one thing that he hasn't done a lot of that I thought he would be really, really, really adding to this team is steal bases.
Yeah, the stolen bases are really low.
Not as much of a stolen base threat as I thought he would be. So those are some of the takeaways from yesterday's game. No Phillies today. But bottom of the order, can they get off season? I think Mike McGarry asked the question to Dave that has a penchant for getting big hits. Your Kiki Hernandez, that. Who's that guy for the Phillies that maybe in the playoffs could do something? And then one other thing, I saw somebody on the YouTube channel. Ryan's watching on YouTube. Is there really any shot they take a chance at Suarez? Interesting bat. He got released by the Reds. Eugenio Suarez. He's got 19 homers. He's a right-handed power bat. The problem is he plays third base. And defensively, he's not very good. But do you just bring in his right-handed bat and just say, we have him in our dugout, we got to figure out what to do with him? I think they said he's owed $3 million for the rest of the season. Could he play some first base possibly? I mean, Bohm has been on a little bit of a heater here recently, but Suarez is definitely a interesting power bat. I know he has only got 19 home runs this year based on as opposed to like 40, 50 that he had been hitting in the previous years. So he's not anywhere near the power bat that he has been. But would he just be an interesting right-handed bat just to have? Hey, he's a bat off the bench in the playoffs.
Absolutely. Because first of all, you're not giving up. Remember the whole issue last year at the deadline was, well, what do you have to give up to get him? Right. That was the whole big conversation. And then the Mariners gave up a big load to get him. If you're talking about a guy who just got cut by his team, you're giving him nothing to get him. So it's a win-win. You're not giving up something big to get him, and you're getting somebody who is a threat at the plate. Even if he's not hitting a great batting average, a threat of him might be enough to help lengthen the lineup on certain nights.
Yeah, I definitely would be intrigued by the thought of just saying, all right, we're going to bring him in now. If he comes in, and I guess in lieu of, I don't know what the roster, who's a guy on the roster? I got to look at their roster right now to see who would be the guy, because Marchand is back at AAA.
Yes.
I actually was at the game last week that he was playing in. He was catching the night that I was in Buffalo.
Oh, that's fun.
Who would be a possible guy that would leave the roster
right now? Man?
No, if you signed Suarez, someone would obviously have to get sent down. You've got Stubbs as the backup catcher right now. You've got Bohm, Arise, Stott, Turner, Marsh, Crawford, Harper, Schwarber, De La Cruz, Hill, Sosa. And then I guess it would maybe be a bullpen arm. But at this stage of the season, could you really afford to get rid of a bullpen arm? Because I don't know that there's a bench guy that you would be getting rid of.
I mean, I'm looking.
Doesn't look like there's a fit.
I'm looking right now if Kirkering's got any options left.
No, he's not going anywhere. I mean, their bullpen's so thin as it is, they're not going to get rid of Kirkering.
Or do you have the sudden Zach Wheeler phantom injury?
Yeah, but how long? I mean, that only lasts so long.
Right, but maybe it lasts long enough that you can figure it out.
Maybe Sugart's the guy that you decide, hey, we don't need Chase Sugart here. But you're looking at the bench, you bring in another bat and demote a pitcher when your bullpen's already thin. Probably not. But I just don't see a guy, because really he's an infielder only. He's really a corner infielder. That means that Sosa would, and you're not getting rid of Sosa, obviously. Sosa is a Swiss Army knife at this stage. Brian De La Cruz and Derek Hill, you got two guys who are right-handed bats to play the outfield, but both of those guys have been pretty helpful for you. So I don't think there's a fit to answer Ryan's question. Ryan says, is he an upgrade offensively over Turner? Well, he's got more power than Turner. Problem is he doesn't play. Well, okay, I can see what he's saying. You could maybe play Stott at short and Suarez at third, and Turner's not coming out of the lineup, though, Ryan. You know that, and I know that. So that's not even play around with that one.
Yeah, Trey Turner's being paid too much money.
Yeah, there's just no way around the Turner's not. He's not lineup, not getting benched. I imagine he's not moving out of the 2 spot in the order either.
Yeah, that's but true.
Sports Bash Live 97.3 ESPN. Coming up, we will dive into something Tim Kirkshin told the Golics today about challenging the top teams in baseball. Who could do it? He gave 2 teams that could challenge the top teams in baseball. We got the Golic Minute coming up in about 20 minutes. Also, football at 4 today. Andrew DiCecco's observations as the Eagles get ready for tomorrow night's preseason finale. And when we come back, we'll tell you where we're going to be every Thursday this football season. We got a new Thursday home for the first time in like 15 years. We're going to be at a new spot on Thursdays for you guys to come out and hang out with us. We'll give you the details. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash. Poll question up right now at Mike Gill Show. You can vote. I hope you do. It's a football question today. I was talking about this with a buddy of mine this morning. Which Eagles wide receiver will have the biggest season outside of Devontae Smith? Is it Lemon, Wicks, Hollywood Brown, Darius Cooper. At Mike Gill Show. Vote right now, and we'll talk about it later on in the program right here on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN.
the Cubs and the Phillies are two teams that have enough talent to get to the World Series, even in a stacked National League. I'm not suggesting either one of them is going to beat the Brewers or the Dodgers, but they are capable. The Phillies just won 9 games in a row. Their starting pitching is really good. And since they got Luis Ariz for their lineup, he's changed things. They put the ball in play more often. And they're a different looking team to me. And all the defensive changes they made, which we thought might hurt the Phillies, it really hasn't. And then there are the Cubs, who hit the ball out of the ballpark also. But their defense, especially their infield defense, is just spectacular.
Tim Kirkson said that on the Golics. And, of course, you got the Cubs and the Phillies. They would be matched up right now in the wild card if they were to start the playoffs today. And he thinks that both of them would be teams that could beat the Brewers or the Dodgers. Is he right? Well, I don't think he's wrong. They are capable of beating any team, the Phillies are. But are they even capable of beating the Cubs would be the big question. 609-403-0973. By the way, the conversation we were just having regarding Suarez, he cleared waivers, so he is back with the Reds, and he'll be with the Reds now in the lineup on Friday. So no one put in a claim for him. I didn't think anybody would, but somebody asked a question watching the show on YouTube today. I thought it was interesting when I saw him get released. I did think, that would be interesting. He's a big right-handed bat. Put it this way. If the Phillies would have traded for Suarez last year, wouldn't have people like that move?
Yes. Absolutely.
Big right-handed bat.
Big right-handed bat. A guy who's got could be, protection behind Harper in theory.
Yeah, he's struggling this year, though.
Definitely struggling, but he's still getting home runs.
19 homers, which is not many more than you have from Alec Boehm. He's hitting 208 with a 295 on base. One of his problems, too, 143 strikeouts.
Yeah, big strikeout guy.
19 home runs is just okay. It's not enough to justify the batting average, the low everything, and those strikeouts. Now, if he had 35 home runs, different conversation. Probably not available.
That's why I was saying if he were hit the market.
He had 49 home runs last year.
That's why I was saying if the Phillies had a chance to get him for nothing, why not?
49 home runs last year. He had 36. He had 30 the year before that, 22, 31, 31. He had 49 back in 2019. So this is a guy who had some major home run numbers, but it also appears that he is running out of power at the age of 35. So Phillies, obviously, and I didn't think they would be involved. We were just kind of answering the question that the listener posted on the YouTube.
It's a fun
channel.
idea.
Yeah, I don't mind the conversation because I got to be honest. When I saw that he got released, I did cross my mind of, could he fit in? And then as I was looking at the Phillies roster, I just didn't see a spot where he would fit because there's just no bench spot right now. And I don't know what they're going to do when Marchand, he is back. He's playing minor league games. Do they just keep Marchand down? Do they stay with Stubbs? Like, what do you do in that situation?
Yeah, and Stubbs gives you pretty much next to nothing.
No, nothing. Neither does Marchand, though. Marchand offensively is a 0. So which guy's better defensively? Which guy fits the clubhouse? Which guy? Because let's remember, come playoff time, neither guy plays at all.
Right.
So the Marchand Stubbs thing, it's not that big of a deal. So, but you can't bring them both back.
Not at all.
No, you can't keep both guys. That's the big thing is even if Marchand's ready to return, it's one or the other. You can't have both. Now, currently right now, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They got 13 pitchers on the roster right now. So they got 13 and 13.
And half of them are no good.
Well, Bolin, Alvarado, Duran, Kerkering, Meza, McFarland, Raley. Sugart's the guy that I think you can do something with.
Right.
So Sugar would be the next guy who's kind of in flux here if you want to bring somebody in to replace, whether it be an offensive player or a defensive player.
Right. And of course, we're seeing more and more guys hitting the waiver wire right now, going through that process because
Has there been other guys that I missed?
the Marlins released John King. The pitcher.
Marlins released John King. Okay.
I mean, he's a lefty. Is there a scenario where
they could use a left-handed guy, but I don't think that John King makes the difference.
I don't think so either. But he was the latest guy I saw. That's all.
Suarez was a legitimate player that could have done things for your team. Now, John King is, a guy who is at least intriguing, I would say. But are you just going to bring in another mediocre left-handed pitcher? That's the thing. I mean, I don't know.
Especially with
I wouldn't be adverse, though, to kicking the tires on still trying to find bullpen arms. I just don't think John King's that guy. He's not a high strikeout guy. He's not what you're lacking in that bullpen.
No, and the other problem is that you have Tanner Banks. He's on rehab assignment too. So I don't know if King fits because you still have Banks potentially coming back.
I wonder if the Phillies are banking on Banks. See what I did there? To kind of come back and maybe reclaim the role that he had last year.
Are you hoping Tanner gets a checking or a savings account?
I like it. So last year, Banks had a really good year.
Great.
He was not very good this year.
He's been very bad this year.
Yes, but I'm wondering if the Phillies are saying, hey, maybe if we can get this guy his head screwed back on straight when he comes back from injury, that he elevates himself to be that left-hander that we trust the most. I think that would be malpractice. I'm just wondering if that's what they're thinking.
I mean, I think it's double what they're thinking because
He's been terrible this year, by the way.
I'm going to assume they're going to let him sit the minor leagues for as long as they can get away with it.
He is beginning a rehab assignment
today, isn't
yesterday.
Or yesterday.
So there's a possibility that he could be back and help this team out, but I wouldn't put a lot of stock in it. But I would imagine Banks will be back up here, and I would think that it's either Sugar or I would imagine Sugar's the guy to me. That would be the guy who gets replaced.
Yeah, Sugar's the odd man out for sure.
Between Sugar and then
I know I said a little half-heartedly about Kirk Rings. I'm just so frustrated with Kirk Ring. I don't know what else to do with
I think yesterday I stated how frustrated I was with Kirk Ring. I've lost complete confidence in him. I would not put any stock into using him in high-leverage situations. I'm also cognizant to know that I don't think the Phillies are going to replace him. I mean, realistically, who's another? Unless McFarland, they turn this over to McFarland and say, you're the guy that's going to pitch the big bullpen innings. I don't see how they have it. They have the ability to get rid of Kerr in the bullpen.
Yeah, and the other
Bolin, obviously, but I'm saying
right.
It's either because Duran pitches obviously the closing ninth inning.
Right.
The guy in the seventh and eighth inning. Right now it's between Bolin and Kerkering. The only way that changes is if they give McFarland a chance and he takes the bull by the horns and wins it.
Yeah, and I asked you the question yesterday. I'll just bring it up again. The fact that, what is keeping them from giving him the opportunity? Is it his inexperience? Is it an organizational decision? Is it the pitching coach saying, guys, I don't think he's ready yet? I don't know what it is.
I think we brought this up yesterday during Phillies Fastball, or maybe the other day. We were talking about one of his problems in the minor leagues in his past has been command.
Yes.
And I don't know, that was not a problem this year for him in the AAA and AA outings that he had. So with that, listen, I'm not advocating that he would come in here and win that and dazzle. But what I would say is, because there's been other guys, Seth Johnson to be, one of the guys who was really good in AAA and not good at the major league level.
Right.
So it doesn't necessarily mean that they're wrong about McFarland, but I'm just wondering why they, with Kerkering's struggles, why they wouldn't give him the chance. That's all.
Yeah. And this is the time you're to do it though, right? August is the time to be like, hey, kid, go out there for a couple times, see what you got.
Not normally. I mean, these are high-intensity games. I would have said June and July would have been those times. They chose not to do that. Yeah, so now you only have August and September. Hey, we're going to throw you in the biggest of big situations. By the way, Rafael Marchand, 8 games at AAA, hitting .250 with a .364 on base. So he's been back for 8 games. And Tanner Banks threw last night. He threw 1 inning, had 2 strikeouts. So, again, Tanner Banks, I would imagine, would be up here sooner than later, and that would give you another left-hander in the bullpen. And then I don't know what they do with him and where they put him in the pecking order. But right now, you figure in the bullpen, you've got Meza, Alvarado, and Brooks Raley. So you've got 3 lefties in that bullpen. Would Tanner Banks replace one of them, or would he replace Sugar? Because Sugar, to me, has no role.
Yeah, he doesn't have a role.
He's kind of the long man.
But the problem is he's right-handed.
Yes.
And so it's like, are you just going to go nuts with the lefties, or like, is there going to be a plan here?
We'll see. That's some of the decisions they have to make. Look at 5, 97.3 ESPN. He is watching on YouTube. What's up, Nick? What's up, everybody? Could McFarland's decision be related to service time foolery, like how they handled Hamels back in the day? I think we're past that, though.
Yeah, we're way past that because he's already pitching. Once he enters games and pitches, that the clock starts.
We'll talk more about that. Phillies Fastball tonight, 5:30. Kevin Cooney tonight. One of the conversations we're going to have with Kevin Cooney, by the way, I'm looking forward to this. He wrote a whole Substack on this today, and I hope everybody is checking out Kevin's Substack. He wrote a Substack about it looks like the Eagles are going to be getting a new stadium. The question that Kevin asks is, where will it go? He details a bunch of different possibilities for a new Eagles stadium. It looks like not if, but when. And not if when, then where would a new Lincoln Financial Field be? Could we – listen, I'm almost 50. I'll be 50 years old, unbelievably, in January. Will I see another Eagles stadium in my lifetime? It looks like I will. We all thought maybe Lincoln Financial Field will be the last stadium we see. Because I think Citizens Bank Park might be the last baseball stadium we see, if you're in my age bracket. But Kevin Cooney asked the question, where would they build a new Eagles stadium? That's coming up tonight in the Cooney Report at 5 o'clock. Golic Minute on the other side. Is it fair to do this? That's next. It's the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN.
I got my two teams in each league. This is, the Guardians right at have that third. They have that last wild card spot tied up, and my Diamondbacks. They're just on the outside. So I got two teams hoping the Guardians and the Diamondbacks meet up in the World Series. You discussed.
You've done this long enough. You should have more shame when it comes to trying to go out here and claim multiple teams, claim one in the National League in America. It's despicable. You're like that family that the NFL shop commercial used to put out there. It was like the Giants, Bengals, Lions, Cowboys family. You don't need to grow up and figure yourselves out. You do.
Golic Minute. Listen to the Golics weekdays from 10 to noon on 97.3 ESPN. Junior's right, obviously. You can't have two teams and two so remote teams. What was it, the Diamondbacks and the other one? Who was the Guardians?
Well, the thing is that, for those who don't remember, Golic Sr. is from Cleveland. So that makes
so
sense.
was Golic Jr., by the way, by proxy.
Right. So, if you told me, hey, I'm rooting for the Cleveland, at least that makes sense. But his whole rationale, if he adopted the Diamondbacks, he lives in Arizona.
Right. Well, why wouldn't he root for the Phillies then?
Because he should play in Philadelphia.
Exactly. That's my point. So then he would have three teams.
Actually, it should be four. He can play for the Dolphins, too.
Correct. Listen, I, as a kid, all the Philly teams always been number one. I liked the Red Sox when I was younger. They were my American League team. The Cleveland Browns were my AFC team. I didn't have a Western Conference basketball team or hockey team. But for baseball and football, I went NFC, was all Philadelphia with the Eagles. And then the AFC team, I was a Browns fan. And then I got older. And I decided I'm going to drop that. It's like the Cowboy fans whose uncle was a fan and you liked it because of the star. But then you get old and mature, and then you drop that. That's what Golic needs to do. Drop it. You pick one and end it. You can't say I still have two.
Now, what do you say to the person who says, my team is not in the playoffs, I'm going to pick a team to root for?
I mean, if you want to have a rooting interest, that's fine. I get it. Hey, I'm going to, I've always kind of been a fan of the Rays when they get in because they're a small market. They don't spend a lot of money. They're not agree. I was like, okay, I'm going to kind of back the Rays. I've done that before. Or Oklahoma City in basketball, smaller market, kind of went through a process. It worked for them. So I've kind of like that. I can see getting behind a team for a run, but it doesn't mean it's your team. It's just
right.
My team's not here. I want to have a rooting interest. Some people, believe it or not, can still watch games without betting on them, enjoy sports.
Well, I wasn't even talking about the betting part. I was just talking about, sometimes, for example, I'm the kind of person where there's certain players I'm a fan of. So, if I know my team is out, I'm a big fan of Anthony Edwards in the NBA. So I'm going to tune in to watch Anthony Edwards in a playoff game. I enjoy watching him. So that's what I'm talking about, more of there might be a team or a player that you just enjoy.
And by the way, the genesis of me picking the Red Sox was because I was a huge Roger Clemens fan. So I was always like, okay, if the Phillies don't win, I'll go with the Red Sox as my American League team. Why? Because I like Clemens.
Right.
Bernie Kosar, Eric Metcalf. They were two players that I really liked watching in football, so I went to the Browns.
Right.
You can like players.
But they're not your team.
They're not your team. I mean, Mike Golic Sr., you're better than that. You can't admit it. You can't come out and say that they're the two teams I want them to meet in the World Series. That's poor. You got to do a better job than that. That's our Golic Minute today. You can listen to the Golics weekdays 10 to noon right here on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, the Golics are back. Looking forward to them during football season. And I want to tell you about my friends at the Branches Outreach. One of the things we all love about living in South Jersey is the people. We all show up for one another. It's exactly what happens every day at the Branches Outreach. In Cape May County, their team, volunteers, donors, and community partners work together to provide meals, stock pantry shelves, distribute clothing and personal care items, and connect individuals and families with advocacy, case management, and the support they need to move forward. For some, it might be a warm meal. For others, groceries for their family, help navigating a difficult situation, or simply knowing there's somewhere to turn. The need for those services continues to grow, and every day the Branches depends on people who believe in giving back to keep this work going. Whether you're in Cape May County, full time or you're just down here visiting for the summer, you can be a part of that team. Visit thebranchesoutreach.org to make a donation today, and we can strengthen the community we all love. More Sports Bash coming up next. o'clock hour brought to you by Broadleaf Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, a trusted source for heating, plumbing service, and installation. 609-390-3907 online, broadleaf.net. What's up, Mike Gill? And the Sports Bash is live on a Thursday. No Phils tonight. So we had no Phils last night. No Phils again tonight. I don't know what I'm going with. I went with the last episode of the Unreal last night.
Okay.
Finished that up last night.
You like the conclusion?
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, I like the whole series. Just certain parts I would probably
Speed up.
yeah. I mean, there's just a lot of
Keep it
stuff there.
moving. Keep
Yeah,
the pace
keep it
moving
moving, keep it moving. But I like the stories. I like seeing the behind the scenes stuff. Definitely all cool with that. So that's what I kind of went with last night. I know, is there a new Ted Lasso out? A new season?
There's either a new season or there's a new season coming.
I thought I saw something. There's like a new season
I
out.
don't have Apple TV Plus. So
I have a lot of shows that I know that have been out that I used to watch and now they're back, and I just haven't had a chance to like get into them. Just hard during the baseball season because like tonight I have a chance and then you go back off of it. But I could have sworn I think there's a new Lincoln Lawyer. Maybe is there a new Reacher?
There's a new Reacher. There's a new season of Reacher. Yes, I know that for a fact.
All right, so that one is one that I
I
want to
haven't
try to
watched the
get
new
back
season
into.
yet.
This is the fourth season.
Fourth season. I haven't watched it yet.
Okay, so
letting you know.
I got that still. I think there's like 2 or 3 other ones. There was man.
Have you watched the Jerry West documentary yet?
No.
That's on Prime. You should watch that. I highly recommend it. It's his last interview before he died.
I don't I mean I definitely want to see it. Obviously West Virginia, Jerry West, the GOAT, the logo. I just don't know if tonight's that kind of night.
Okay, you want maybe a little
I'm going out to dinner tonight. I know that.
Oh,
So
nice.
I mean, we put the no Phillies tonight was a night to, hey, we'll go out to dinner tonight. You know what I
There you
mean?
go.
You know.
Go to dinner.
So coming up, the Eagles. We were talking about the new stadium possibility. So Kevin Cooney wrote a whole Substack about this, about where the stadium could be possibly moved to. I do want to read off a couple text messages from some people here. Mike, as a season ticket holder, I'm disgusted with the stadium talk. There is nothing wrong with the link, but the billionaire owner wants more billions and will collect more SBL cash and raise ticket prices. I'm aware my days of a season ticket holder are coming to an end. Also, no fan I've spoken to wants a dome. The snow games are awesome. That's from our buddy Jeff in Ocean City. He says, oh, yeah, and the world was in awe of the link during the World Cup. So definitely, I have not heard one person that says, you know what, they need a new stadium for the Eagles.
Right.
Lurie has been one of the better owners that this town has ever had.
Oh, 100%.
But I definitely can get behind it's unnecessary to get a new stadium. And that, yes, it would be completely a money grab to do so. Like, now listen, I'm not a big go to the Eagles game guy. I've only been in Lincoln Financial Field like maybe 10 times ever. In fact, last year, the only game I went to was Temple against East Carolina.
I remember that. You met Nuggets there, didn't you?
Me and Nuggets went to the game. Stadium does nothing for me. But anytime I've ever been in that stadium, at no point have I ever said, man, this place sucks. We got to get a new stadium. So I'm looking forward to talking to Kevin Cooney tonight at 5 o'clock. He wrote a Substack about it. Check it out. Follow him on Twitter, X, and follow his Substack, The Cooney Report, if you want to read about where the different places that he looks at. He had a bunch of places listed. The only thing I would add to this, we're going to get to some interesting audio coming up here from Nick Foles, who has what's his name of his podcast?
The Season Podcast, but it's SZN. That's his brand.
Mm-hmm.
He does Dad Season, all that stuff.
So he had a bunch of takes on the Eagles in the training camp and preseason so far. But my only thing would be this. The Eagles, And all these teams, like the whole thing with the Bears, are they going to move to Indiana? Some people still say, I'll believe it when I see it.
Right.
It is not foreign or far-fetched for these teams to do something like that. In fact, it is becoming more and more the norm.
Common, yeah.
I mean, number one, the Giants and Jets are both the New York teams. They play in New Jersey.
Yep.
San Francisco plays in Santa Clara, which is about an hour away from San Francisco. Dallas does not play anywhere near Dallas. They are in Fort Worth, Texas, or Arlington, whatever you want to call that. That's about 35 to 40 minutes outside of Dallas.
It's like south of Dallas.
There are tons of teams that don't play in the city they call home. Now, playing in a different state is definitely a little different, although the Giants and Jets do play in New Jersey. Like, I don't think the Eagles would move their stadium to, say, Delaware or New Jersey.
No, definitely not.
But if it's not in the South Philly complex, where are the options? That's what Kevin wrote about in his Substack today. We'll talk about it tonight at 5 o'clock right here on the Sports Bash. So give me some of this Foles stuff, because I always am intrigued by what Foles has to say when watching this team.
So the preface by saying, so they had a very, very long conversation on the pod this week about the Eagles' backup quarterback situation. And obviously, the joke on the pod was, hey, Nick, it's like to be the Eagles' backup quarterback. So it was interesting to hear, because Foles, for those who don't know, really quick, Mike, I don't know if you know this, Foles and Tanner McKee have the same agent. So they know each other personally. Also, Nick Foles played an entire season as Andy Dalton's backup in Chicago. So he knows both guys personally. So that kind of gives you a little spin on the context when he explains that he knows that the Eagles like both players on their roster.
Having Tanner there is great. He's a guy that they think very highly of. I know Howie Roseman really loves Tanner. That's why they went and got him. That's why he was the backup last year. They think super highly of Tanner. I've spent a little bit of time with him. I think the same thing. I think he's a great young quarterback and has a bright future ahead of him. But at the same time, when I'm sitting there, like, I want a strong veteran that doesn't have an ego, but that can go in there and take the reins and make the plays and throw the ball. And Andy can do those things. So you got to think about it. With Jalen Hurts in that room, and you're having conversations about schemes and running an offense and running this offense and how to do it at the best level, you want a sounding board of someone who has done it. Andy has done it.
So I talked about this with Mosher on Monday. What are they looking for from the backup quarterback? Do they want the better player? And I think everybody would say, yes, you want the better player. But what if the better player isn't significantly better than the guy who knows the offense? Do you want to be a sounding board to a guy that you can say, hey, Andy, what did I miss on that play? You run this offense. Dalton, being the veteran, is a guy that Hurts can turn to. McKee really isn't.
Correct.
So does that outweigh McKee being the better player at this stage?
And I was thinking about this because I'm watching that quarterback show on Netflix, and part of the show documents the relationship that Joe Flacco had in Cleveland and later Cincinnati with the other quarterbacks. And you see Joe Burrow going to Flacco, asking him all kinds of questions. And you see Shedeur Sanders picking Flacco's brain, like, during an entire game. Like, you're seeing the value of having a veteran quarterback for other guys, even if there are the profile of a Joe Burrow. And I can only imagine Jalen Hurts having.
I mean, I think that's the one thing that Dalton provides that McKee doesn't, is someone that Jalen Hurts. Now, there's a quarterback coach too, but sometimes it's just, hey, the coaches are out of the room. I need to just have a conversation with the veteran guy here.
And Foles goes on to explain, there's a lot of rumors about, hey, could the Eagles maybe trade McKee or Dalton by the end of the preseason for the season? And Foles says you should absolutely not break up this quarterback room.
I think the question is not like, hey, is Tanner going to be traded away or is Andy going to be traded away? I think that would be a mistake, because you're going to want that as a quarterback room, because Tanner, like you said, there is more upside. He's younger. He's continuing to develop. Andy has shown who he is. He's a capable quarterback that has played really, really well and had such an amazing career. But his education and the knowledge of football he has, not many people have that knowledge. And he's sharp. He's detail-oriented. He has notes compiled on his tablet. They go all the way back decades of every single play, every single defense. He brings that knowledge that honestly is probably more than the coaches.
Yeah, that's one thing that I would definitely agree with, is that Dalton is a guy that he probably values to talk to more than maybe even the coaches in this situation. And his point is valid. Don't break up the quarterback room. I don't think they're going to cut one of the guys.
No. They might cut Cole Payton.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the two.
Right. Because there's been speculation that, hey, do they like Cole Payton enough to maybe move on from one of the other guys? And Foles is saying, don't move on from the other guys, because one guy has all this potential if you need him to come into a game, and the other guy is a sounding board. And I can only imagine scenarios where, Sean Mannion's, he's busy calling the game, right? He's busy game planning, and Hurts might sit down on the bench after a drive and turn to Andy Dalton and be like, hey, man, XYZ happened. Doesn't make sense to me. And Andy's like, well, it didn't happen because of this. And Hurts is like, well, now I know. It's a sounding board that he doesn't have in Tanner McKee. Tanner McKee doesn't even know a tenth of what Andy Dalton knows.
No, and Tanner McKee, I think at this stage is the better player in terms of, if you need it to win a game or two if Hurts got hurt.
And that's what Foles went on to say on the season podcast is he expects Tanner McKee to be the backup, but not because he's necessarily the more polished player, but because of that upside.
Listen, the guys in the locker room respect Tanner from everything I've heard. They love, and I know they're going to respect Andy, and they probably do just from knowing Andy and being with Andy. I think it's really a 2A, 2B situation, but I mean, I can see them going with Tanner as 2 and then Andy as 3, because making Tanner a 3 at this point in his career when he's still young and developing, like, I'm not saying it would be detrimental to his mindset or even his value, but as a younger player still on your rookie deal, it sort of is more so than a vet.
Yeah, I mean, and you don't want to see Hurts get hurt for any amount of time. But if it was a game or two, you would think that McKee would be the guy that gives you the best chance to win. And I'm not the biggest McKee guy in the world either. I just think Dalton is past the time of where he would go in and win games for you. He's more of player/coach at this stage of the game.
And Andy's not going to lose you the game. I think that's the bigger deal. And Foles went on to explain, he says, he used his own example of his own career near the end and paralleled it with Andy Dalton right now in Philadelphia.
Was my career always up here at the top level? No, but I know that I was more than capable of playing quarterback and doing it at a high level, and I got to show that to the Bears on scout team. And even in games I played, when I played at that level at times in Chicago, wasn't a ton. We weren't that good offensively. We were great defensively. That's one of those things where later in my career, like, I was made a 3. And they knew that because I was an older veteran and I wasn't going to come in with the ego. Was it adversity? Yeah, it's adversity. You don't want to be a 3. You want to be a backup. You want to be ready to go. You want to be respected by the franchise, the GM, the owner, the head coach. But Andy can handle if he's made a 3, and he's going to go about his job the same way as if he's made a 2. And it's not going to be detrimental.
Well, that's the big thing here, is that Andy Dalton knows he's at the end of the line. He knows what his role is. I would imagine they talked to him and said, hey, you have a chance to win the backup job, but at 38 years old, if you're the third guy, we would certainly want to bring you here and keep you around. I think Andy Dalton would certainly at this stage making $1.5 million at 38 years old. I think he would be more than willing to say, I'm okay with that role.
And, we brought this up last week on Football at 4 with Adam and Jeff about the fact that there was a point a couple of years ago, Andy Dalton was going to come to Philadelphia, but then he chose to go to Carolina because his family wanted to go to Carolina. His family would be closer to where they live, which is the South. So it's not like Dalton would ever be adverse to being here.
No. I mean, the only thing would be if there was a team that had an injury at quarterback and said, hey, we want a veteran. There's really no quarterback situations. I know Atlanta, you got Tua and Michael Penix. Apparently, according to reports, that Penix has the inside track on that job at this stage, which is pretty weird, that they traded for or added Tua and drafted Penix last year in the first round and then had them battle it out. And it looks like Michael Penix is going to win that job.
Tua's been so bad.
The only other jobs that are open where it would be an injury situation, you got the Minnesota thing where J.J. McCarthy lost the job there, and now he's losing the backup job too to Carson Wentz.
Which is crazy.
So I don't see a scenario where a team out of the chutes needs Andy Dalton.
No. And
Long story short.
Right. And there's been a lot of speculation, Mike, about, hey, Tanner McKee's getting all these extra reps more than Andy Dalton in training camp and enjoying practices. And Foles says, well, there's a reason why Tanner McKee is getting more reps, and maybe that's the reason you think.
Now, Tanner still hasn't had those kind of reps. He has to make those bigger plays. He needs more playing time. He needs that under his belt, and they know that. Nick Sirianni knows that because they're going to – hopefully they don't need him. The goal is they don't need him, right? Jalen stays healthy throughout the course of the 17-game schedule and then get ready for the playoffs. That's the goal. But in case they do, I understand why Tanner's playing more right now.
Yeah.
I would understand why Tanner's playing more right now too. Yes, because he's the better player, and they want him to be prepared to play in the event that Jalen Hurts got hurt, because Andy Dalton doesn't need to play. He's 38 years old. He's got plenty of experience. So, yeah, it makes obvious sense that McKee's going to be the backup on this team, I would imagine.
I just thought it was interesting because it's like there's a lot of people who've been speculating about this whole quarterback situation with the backup quarterback. And Mike, I think
more people are speculating about it because there's not a lot of other things. I think it's pretty clear that McKee's the guy.
So you think it's that simple? You think it's as simple as people are just speculating because there's nothing else to talk about?
Yeah, there's not a lot of storylines with this camp with roster battles. That's one. We all love the backup quarterback here. And by the way, with good merit, the backup quarterback won a Super Bowl here. So I understand it. But I think you saw Andy Dalton went 3 for 10 last game, and McKee was, 16 of 22.
Right.
Again, I'm not the biggest McKee guy in the world. I'm not one of these guys that thinks that McKee gives you a better chance than Jalen Hurts does. There's a crowd of those people out there. But I think it's pretty evident that Tanner McKee is the younger player. He's been here for 3 seasons. They would want him to be the backup.
And we'll wrap it up with this, Mike. So Foles.
By the way, I think, because you would say, well, then why did they target Dalton and trade for him? They legitimately said, we want this guy. We're going to trade for this guy.
Right.
I think they wanted a guy that knew the offense to come here for Hurts, to just be a sponge and say, talk to Andy if you have questions about how this offense kind of operates.
Well, Foles said that there's another purpose for Andy Dalton being here, and he was responding to he's expressed frustration with people online looking at Andy Dalton's preseason game stat lines and making judgments. And Foles explained that don't judge what Dalton does statistically because he has a completely different value that people realize.
In the preseason games, I know his stats are what they are. When you're a veteran guy and you've played the game, you're not going out there being a hero in the preseason. You're just going to execute the offense. You're going to take your first read. You're going to move on. You're not trying to make the huge plays and do all these different things, because you ultimately, or your goal at that point is get through the preseason healthy, get some good reps, put some stuff on film for the other guys. We need Howie to be able to assess, and the scouts, the O-line I'm playing with, the running backs, the tight ends, the receivers. So I just need to run the offense, first guy's open, take it. It might only be a bootleg little 5-yard completion. Well, if he would have held on to the ball, maybe in a real game, he holds on and hits the deep cross.
So I agree with Foles that you can't judge not only Dalton, anyone on preseason stats. Vic Fangio said it yesterday. Who are you playing against? The ones and the twos, the twos and the threes. So I'm not going to sit here and judge Andy Dalton at 38 years old. Again, I don't have any expectations for Andy Dalton. Even if he went, this is why the preseason thing, that argument has gone out the window for me after we saw Sam Bradford have the drive of a generation in a preseason game. And we're like, this guy is going to be amazing this year. And that didn't work out. The preseason is just, it has completely lost its usefulness for anybody that is a established.
This last week, Mike, I understand where the Billy Schweims of the world and the others come from, because in many ways, preseason football, spring training baseball, everyone's going to want to see LeBron in the preseason for the Sixers, right? Because the preseason for sports functions like a movie trailer back in the day, right? It's the idea that you want the tease, you want the anticipation built inside of you of seeing before you go see the main attraction. But guess what? Sports are different now. Sports, you don't have the tease.
Oh, you roll right into it. There's no preseason games. Week 0, week 1. Although I don't know why they don't just call week 0 week 1. Why do we have to start with 0?
Good question.
I'll never understand that portion.
Doesn't high school football do that too now?
I think so. High school football started today, by the way.
Yeah, that
A lot of games over in
you
Ocean
told
City.
me that earlier. I almost fell out of my chair.
They started this morning, 10 o'clock, bright
Crazy.
and early. 97.3 ESPN, you're home for the Eagles and Bengals tomorrow night. Coverage at 7, kickoff at 8. Here on 97.3 ESPN, you're home for Eagles football. Coming up, Major League Baseball, there might be a lockout, but they made one proposal today that I'm on board with. I'll tell you what that is coming up next. Plus, I'll tell you where our new Thursday home will be for the football season this year. We're looking forward to this. We're really excited to be back at a place we were at years ago. We're going back to a spot we were at years ago. I'll explain coming up on the Sports Bass Live on 97.3 ESPN. All right, 327, got Nuggets in an hour. Unsportsmanlike moment of the day in about 20 minutes. I want to tell you about my friend Rocco at Key Acura of Atlantic City. You know, you build a loyal fan base of repeat customers by doing things the right way. And they deliver the kind of performance, precision, and dependability that you can count on. That's why the team at Key Acura is noted for their outstanding customer service. Go see for yourself. Key Acura of Atlantic City, the smaller, friendly dealer. Tilton Road EHC online, KeyAcuraAtlanticCity.com. By the way, it's a Thursday, and starting on September the 10th, we got a new Thursday home. You know, over the years, every Thursday, we've been out on the road for Thursday Night Football, out for the weekend, getting people ready for the weekend. And every Thursday for the past, I don't know, ever since we've been on 97.3 ESPN, even back to our days on 1450 AM, right? Josh, you never worked at 1450, right?
No. I was not here for that. I initially first met you when you were at 1450.
Okay, so we were on 1450 AM, and we used to do shows from Chickies and Pete's. And then that carried over to 97.3 ESPN. And over the years, we've had a great time with all the people at Chickies and Pete's. But this year on Thursday, we're going back to a place we were at, I want to say it was 2016. Does that sound about right? 2016 is when we did our show at this spot, because I think that's when you started producing the show.
So when I first
10 years ago.
11 years ago, because I first came on board was 2015, and my first job was producing you on location every Monday and Thursday.
Right.
You were on location on Mondays.
Because we weren't at Ocean yet.
Not yet.
I don't even know that Ocean was Ocean yet.
Good point.
Might have been Revel.
Might have been Revel.
Right. Well, back then, whatever year this was, 2015, 2016, I remember because it was during the process years. And we were doing shows from this spot with John McMullen.
Yep.
And McMullen and I would have some knockout dragouts.
Yep. And I would just be sitting back in the studio wondering, are you guys going to kill each other? Or are you going to go to break?
Well, we would be just absolutely going blow to blows. We went to blows, and we were at Golden Nugget in Atlantic City, and the Nuggets bringing us back to do our show every Thursday from the sports book. This is going to be awesome. It's going to be so much fun to be back at the Nugget. We had awesome, fun shows from the Nugget back then, and it was such a good time with McMullen and I, and who knows who might end up doing the shows. A lot of times, whenever we go out on location, you know, I usually try to have somebody do the show with me. So when I'm out on location, you know, we have a little bit more fun. We're out on location. We're trying the food. We're doing all the different stuff. So we'll see if somebody is out on location with me. I know PG will be our on-site producer for that show. But starting September the 10th, we will be at the Golden Nugget Sportsbook for the 2026 NFL season. So it's our first time out on the road at someplace else during the football season on a Thursday in about 10 years, if not longer. So we're looking forward to that. That starts on September the 10th. The one thing with that is September the 10th will be the second game of the year. Because the 9th is the actual kickoff of the football season. So that September 10th, we're going to be breaking down the first game of the NFL season, which is the Super Bowl rematch between the Patriots and the Seahawks. And then that night, Thursday night, it will be the Niners and Rams from Australia. So
yeah, crazy.
I am ready for the football season to start. I'm ready for the summer to dissipate and be over. And I'm ready to get into the routine of football. I'm ready to go. I know you're not.
Oh, no, I'm ready.
Well, you're enjoying the summer. You got your beach Sundays.
Listen, I maximized the summer this year, so that way when the football season does come, I know it's not fall yet, but when football season does come, I got in as many days as humanly possible on the beach.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm not hating you. Real quick, Oscar texted me, and he made a good point. In September, the rosters expand to 28. So there'll be 2 spots that will open on the roster in a couple of days here. That could be Marshawn and that
Tanner
could be
Banks.
Tanner Banks. But you could make the argument that it could have been Suarez
Yes.
and Tanner Banks.
Correct.
You could have added another right-handed bat and Tanner Banks. I don't need Marshawn back up here, do you?
I mean, unless he's replacing Stubbs, no.
Right, exactly. I don't need a third catcher, but
no.
his point is valid that they are expanding the rosters in September, and that will be 2 extra guys that can come up here. And it's not going to be young players. I don't think you're – like, in other words, I don't think one of those spots is going to Gage Wood. I know Oscar brought it up the other day, which I'm all for it. You wouldn't bring Gage Wood up here. The problem with the Gage Wood thing is tied to what I'm about to talk about here. Major League Baseball made a proposal today. From my understanding, if the players are locked out, it's only the players on the 40-man, which means minor league baseball will still play next year.
Interesting.
Just not Major League Baseball, because the minor leaguers are tied to a different CBA.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
That's my understanding. So if you're the Phillies, you don't want to put Gage Wood on your 40-man so that he can't pitch next year. You would probably say, I'd just rather have him pitch if the sport's shut down.
Yeah, because now you can ensure that he gets action, playing time, reps next year.
Mm-hmm. So here's some of the proposals.
Because really quick, remember, go back to COVID, they shut down the minor leagues in 2020.
Yes.
It was only the major leagues, and there were all these prospects who basically didn't get to play for a year,
Mm-hmm.
and it like altered so many guys' career trajectories.
All right. That would allow free agents to sign only during a 2 to 3 week period in December until the first Monday in February to avoid the slow trickle of signings throughout the offseason. That is expected to be rejected by the union. But we have talked a lot about like how baseball free agency misses the mark. It just doesn't do anything.
It's
you got
the worst.
The guys not signing free agent contracts until like March. This would say you have until from here to sign, and that's it. Now, I don't think that ends up being a make or break.
It should be a make or break, but I like them proposing it because, as you said, baseball is the one sport that completely misses the mark with free agency. The other 3 sports get it. The other 3 sports say, we have this window to maximize people's interest in us when we're not playing. So let's do it. And for baseball, it could be December and January. There's no reason why December and January couldn't be this great time for you to remember.
Well, we had said before, baseball ends in October, late October. You have all of November and December, and the time that Christmas comes, you can't even get a new jersey of your guy that just signed because a lot of times he hasn't signed yet.
Right, there's that too. I'm just thinking about in terms of November's hard because there's so much football. Like it's such a football crazed month that it's like December's a perfect time for you to do this because like not just because of the Christmas thing, but people are starting to maybe change their mind to what's happening next year, what's coming down the road.
Well,
People
you
like
could say our free
spring training.
You could do like football where you set the date where free agency starts being, hey, free agency will not start until December 15th. And it's going to go until February 15th. Those are the dates you have to sign between. All right. The league is proposing a new limit for in-season options for minors of 4 down to the current limit of 5. So that's something that would be different. The current minimum options assigns periods of 10 days for position players and 15 days for pitchers. That would be modified to 1 full week and 2 full weeks, respectively, because they're also talking about changing the injured list from a 10-day stint to 10 days for position players and 15 days for pitchers. That would be replaced by minimums of 1 full week and 2 full weeks. Not a big change there.
Not a big change. I feel like I had no opinion on that. I feel like that's just like
this one is suggesting that the active roster would mean at 26, but they're promoted that teams would be permitted to carry 14 pitchers instead of the current limit of 13.
I like that because with all the issues we're having with pitching in the league, I think it would make sense to have more pitching. I mean, there's not enough good pitchers to go around.
One of them is about Rule 5, not a big deal there. The offseason calendar, I brought that up. That's one that they've discussed as well, where free agency would officially open on the Monday of the winter meetings, extending through December 21st. That window would be a 2 to 3 week long thing and would encourage free agent activity that would rival the excitement that includes the National Football League and the NBA. So they're trying to get their free agency period a little buzz, and I don't blame them.
Mike, do you feel like that we are setting the stage for the players to be turned into the villains here?
Well, I think that's already the case with you have one side pushing for a salary cap and the other side not. And I got to be honest with you, if I'm pushing for the salary cap right now, I don't have a great argument.
I hear you.
Tampa Bay,
yeah.
first place,
Mhm.
79 wins, most in the American League. Milwaukee, 82 wins, most in all of baseball.
Right.
Not big spenders.
No, I get that, but I'm talking about like not just the salary cap, but all the proposals. It feels like the players' union is just saying no to everything, and I feel like this is going to be a very bad deal for them because don't you think that when more and more fans hear that the players' union just is saying no to everything, they're going to be like, well, you don't care about playing baseball. You just care about the money.
That's a fair point to bring up. I would just say ultimately in the end, the only one that's really going to make a mark is the salary cap versus non-salary cap. I think anyway.
I just feel like the optics, like this is such bad optics for the players. And, you know, again, I go back to Bob Costas was on the Rich Eisen show yesterday. He went on this whole long rant about how, you know, with the players themselves are not going to be able to agree on everything because you have one group of players, but you have everybody else on the bottom run not making a ton of money.
Well, who brought that up on yesterday's show? About the split between the guys who are in like that, the 10% of the league making ridiculous amount of money, and the other 90% is saying, well, we don't make the money that you make. We like some of the proposals that are happening here.
I mean, it might have been Oscar, honestly. I mean, he's talked about it before.
I don't remember, but that was something that we discussed on yesterday's show when talking about, you know, the labor situation is that you have Harper and guys like that making $300 million.
Right. Harper, Turner, they're making these big oodles of money, but then you have guys like Edmundo Sosa who are not.
90% of the league is not making that. By the way, so free agency, which we don't know what's going to look like this year. Tarek Skubal is the number one name. Michael King, Randy Arozarena, Jazz Chisholm, Seiya Suzuki, Brandon Lau, Clay Holmes, Casey Mize, Nick Martinez, Luis Arise. They are your top 10 free agents. It's not a great free agent class. And I bring this up because it's funny. I had saw somebody report that this would be the year that Arise might actually finally cash in as a free agent because what did we talk about yesterday with Dave Gallagher? The mindset of hitting is starting to change a little bit here from this all or nothing launch angle home run to now he talked about yesterday, Dave did, and that teams might now value Arise more than they did in the past.
Well, which could be a problem for the Phillies because if they want to bring him back,
exactly.
They have a lot of competition.
The year that you're interested in maybe saying, you know what, maybe we will bring him back or sign him. Now other teams are lining up.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
609-403-0973. 609-403-0973. Mike, Golden Nugget, I will be there. Golden Nugget has free parking. Yeah, we'll see you there every Thursday. We'll check you out over there. 609-403-0973. We got a bunch of text messages throughout the show on some of the things that we've been talking about. I'm reading some of these. Somebody guessed that we were going back to Eden Lounge. I don't remember ever being at the Eden Lounge. Isn't that at Harris?
That was before my time.
I don't remember being at the Eden Lounge. Oh, Taj Mahal. Was that called Eden at the Taj Mahal? I remember
okay.
doing shows at the Taj way back in the day. Mosher and I used to do the show there. We did Mosher Mondays. But no, we will not be at the Eden Lounge. That's a pretty good one there. You guys are talking about the new season of Reacher. You ought to watch it. It takes place in Philly, has all the Philly drapings, Tasty Cakes, Broad Street, Subway. Okay.
Eden Lounge was in Harrah's, yes.
Is it
You
still
had
in
right
Harrah's?
the first time.
No, Ego Bar was at Taj Mahal.
Ego Bar, yes, that was definitely Taj.
We were at the Ego Bar, yes, for years.
The Eden Lounge, you're correct. It was Harrah's. I mean, is Harrah's. Sorry.
It's Harrah's, yeah. Okay. The Reacher show apparently takes place in Philly.
Oh, that's exciting.
For the 4th season here. Maybe I will fire that up tonight then. Who wrote that in there? Said, sorry, didn't leave my name. Joe from Summers Point. And yeah, the series Reacher takes place in Philly. It's pretty cool to see all the sites in Philly. Isn't there something about when a show takes place in a place that you know? Like there's something different about it.
Oh, definitely. I think that was a huge reason why Boardwalk Empire was such an appeal down here when it first came out on HBO.
Yeah, you know what, though? I never got into that show.
It was fine. Like it wasn't, I think it was a little overhyped. I thought it was a fine show. I thought it was interesting, but I was never like, I never fell in love with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I tried to give it a chance. I think I watched like 2 to 3 episodes and I just never could get into it. So, but I watched that really bad movie. What was it called? Snake Eyes? Oh, the kid. Yeah, it was really bad. It wasn't Atlantic City. It was really bad. No. Coming up, the Unsportsmanlike moment of the day. Stick around for that.
There was also that Gerard Butler, Jennifer Aniston movie that was filmed in Atlantic City. That I didn't name it, but that movie was mad too.
I hear there's a show coming up that's being produced. It's something about Wildwood, but it's not going to be filmed in Wildwood, I don't think.
That's confusing. Why wouldn't you just go to Wildwood then?
Probably cheaper to not. I don't know. I have no idea. Sports Pass Live, 97.3 ESPN. What was the movie they were filming here recently, like in like Rio Grande or something? The train tracks or something out there?
Oh, that was the Steven Spielberg movie.
Yeah.
Disclosure Day. They were
You
filming.
see it?
I had not seen it yet. No, that actually looked interesting. But yeah, they filmed that actually near where I live too. Some of the scenes.
Next Wednesday, the show's going to be live at Yuri's in Wildwood. The seafood's extraordinary. The value's tremendous. The sunsets are on the house. Yuri's Waterfront Restaurant, the Boathouse, foot of the bridge in Wildwood. Experience the best of the shore. Yuri's, the Boathouse, will be there next Wednesday, the 2nd of September. The Sports Bash comes back next with the Unsportsmanlike moment of the day.
Have you guys heard about the fart corner?
Yes.
What? Oh, the teacher.
I think we need to implement the fart corner at Unsportsmanlike and ESPN
gross.
Radio. There's a teacher in Georgia who, in her classroom, has implemented a fart corner and explained it in a video, and basically was like, you can come over here, you can fart, and then spray some spray. Nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to mind at all. Insane logic. I don't know. As a former middle schooler, I would laugh hysterically if I saw someone in the middle of class stand up, walk to the corner, fart, and then sit back down. That's just insane.
Pat Costello, that's our Unsportsmanlike moment of the day. Apparently, there's a school teacher who has allowed kids to find a spot in the room and go loud and proud and make it as if you go into the corner, time out, no one will care. Are
Everyone
you
will
backing this teacher?
This teacher's an idiot. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Pat's right. Like, as former middle school students, as we all are, we all know what happens. Someone makes any noise in class, someone does anything, you wear the wrong shoes a certain day, kids are going to make fun of you.
Now, my friend's father, as we grew up, he used to say, Mike, farts are funny whether you're 6 or 60. Should the teacher be embracing the humor that could come from the flatulence?
No, because what the teacher's doing is they're enabling other students to be mean to each other. We live in a world
Is
where
he trying to normalize the fart?
I think he's trying to normalize the fart without remembering how mean-spirited children can be about simple things.
Right, but if it becomes normalized, will it now be accepted?
No, because normalization is a universal thing that has to happen, not just one classroom.
Is there somebody that you're thinking of when you hear Pat Costello talk about this fart?
So what I'm thinking of personally is my own experiences being picked on for the dumbest things.
For gas?
No, I used to get picked on a lot because I wear like the same shoes every day or like the same shirt every day and stuff like or every other day. And like I just remember how mean-spirited kids were about everything when I was in school. Like there would be a young kid in my class. I remember that he would have some, issues, health issues, not with specifically farting, but with other health issues. And
nothing specifically.
Not specifically farting, but he has some other health issues. And
I like it. Your expository is very serious here, and you're just slipping that in there with like no.
Well, because there are people who do have health issues, and kids will make fun of them for those health issues. So normalizing farting is not going to make kids be less mean-spirited.
I don't know. Maybe this teacher's on to something. Maybe if you just say, hey, it was me, you don't have to be the person that always like denies it.
Or maybe you're just opening the door for someone else to make fun of you.
They're going to do that anyway.
Exactly.
Sports Bash Live. Don't forget on Sportsmanlike Moment of the Day. The odd part about this was you had Kimberly Martin, Courtney Cronin, and Michelle Smallman breaking down the fart.
I think that's where people don't realize how fun Unsportsmanlike is. 6:10 a.m. Eastern on Nice.
Yeah, Evan Cohen picked a good day to be off.
Yeah, he had all the.
He really
queens in
ripped
there.
off the audience on that one, huh?
Yeah, he did.
It's our Unsportsmanlike Moment of the Day every day right here on the Sports Bash. Football at 4 powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, which you can get on all podcasting platforms. We got preseason football tomorrow night. It's the final one before the real thing happens. We got one more test run. Football at 4 powered by the Inside the Birds podcast is brought to you by Fanatics Sportsbook at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. We're back there every Monday. And, of course, Andrew DiCecco's here every Thursday. We got a lot to dive into. 2 preseason games down, 1 joint practice, and now a final preseason. Let's take a look at Andrew's overview of what we've seen as training camp has come to a close for 2026. Andrew, what's up, my man?
Hey, Mike, doing well. Good to be with you.
Yeah, man, it's been a little while. I missed you the last couple of weeks, but that means we're getting closer to the season and a lot of stuff happening. Obviously, camp comes to a close here. Tomorrow night will be the last preseason tilt. Give me a couple of guys, as a lot of people always like, hey, I want to hear the guys Andrew's looking at. Who are some guys you're keeping an eye on for tomorrow that this game might be important for?
Offensive lineman Jake Majors. He's cross-trained at center and guard. Well, he's a center by trade out of the University of Texas. Was on the Eagles practice squad all last season. I think he's really made some strides, Mike, in training camp. Tough player, set a Texas record with 56 starts, and that says a lot. But I think he's done a nice job at guard as well. Now, the reason why you need to keep an eye on him is because there's some questions as to how that number 10 offensive line spot might shake out. You have Micah Morris, the draft pick. You have Jake Majors. You have John Ojukwu, who's done some good things in training camp as well. But I think that Majors has done a nice job over the last 2 weeks, and we'll see what he's able to do in the finale. I would also say on the defensive side, Kapina Gushikin is an undrafted free agent. Everyone talks about Maximus Pulley, but in my view, I think Gushikin, having watched him for 17 practices now, has been the more impressive player. Now, both, to be clear, are not, I don't want to say long shots, but it's unlikely given the way that the roster is shaping up. But I think Gushikin, because he can play nickelback and safety, and he's been working in a little bit more over the last week or so, he's an interesting player, if for no other reason than maybe a practice squad slot, and maybe you elevate him at some point on game day. And then I'm going to look at Cameron Latu, the tight end fullback. I've been on Cameron Latu since last summer when Jihad Campbell was just a heat-seeking missile coming downhill. All the tight ends struggled to contain him, Mike, but not Cameron Latu. There was a couple of plays in one practice where he stonewalled him. I wrote down number 87 in my notes, and I kept an eye on him throughout the rest of the preseason, made some plays on special teams. I think he is just a tenacious player, a really physical blocker, and to this day, I'm puzzled how the Eagles didn't use him more last season, but I think he's an interesting player as they start to whittle the roster down to 53.
Andrew, what does that mean for Eli Stowers? We've not been hearing very good things about him so far. Do you have the same takeaways from his camp, the second-round pick? Do you see very little impact so far and moving into the season?
Well, it's been underwhelming, to be clear, but I also like to reemphasize that progress is not linear. Everybody progresses at different rates. Now, when the Eagles drafted Eli Stowers, it should have been widely expected that he was a developmental prospect, and sometimes those things take time. And I think Sean Mannion, the Eagles offensive coordinator, outlined it well. Everyone thinks that you can just plug and play and there's not going to be growing pains, but he abilities be a tight end at this level. You have the blocking component, the receiving component, the alignment, and all these different things that he's being asked to do that is going to be foreign to him relative to what he's accustomed to at Vanderbilt. So it's going to take some time. Now, that's not to say that the tight end position isn't a big question mark, because I do have quite a few questions. But in terms of Eli Stowers, just relax a little bit. That would be my my cautionary message out there, because it seems like there's a lot of angst about him. And I think young players deserve an opportunity to grow and develop. And the Eagles prioritize player development. And this is going to be a tall task here for Ryan Mahaffey, the new tight ends coach, because Jason Michael has had an extensive track record of doing so. And they deserve the benefit of the doubt.
Andrew, our poll question today has to do with the receivers. Outside of Devontae Smith, which guy do you think will have the biggest impact of the other group of receivers?
Dontavian Wicks. I really like what I've seen from him in training camp. From beginning of camp to the end, you could see the rapport between Wicks and Jalen Hurts really budding throughout the summer. Now, he's not someone that's going to take the top off of the defense. He's really effective in the short to intermediate levels of the field, a really good separator at the top of his routes. And I haven't seen him drop many passes, if any, in training camp to my recollection, which is something that has been sort of a mark on him. He has struggled with drops in his career, but I think he's really establishing that trust with Hurts, and he's going to be someone who I think will see a decent amount of volume. And he's a big question mark, understandably, because he's never exceeded more than 39 receptions in a season, never had more than 74 or 75 targets in a given year. But from what I've seen this season, or this training camp, I think he's going to be someone that they can be dependent upon, and he's going to be an effective chain mover for them.
You've seen Lemon for a couple days now. I know he missed a lot of time. Are you hopeful that he can have some sort of impact in this offense?
Well, it's been pretty clear going back to the public practice, Mike, that the Eagles are going to find a way to get the ball into the hands of Mekhi Lemon, whether that's manufactured touches or intermediate throws that really accentuate what he can do as a route runner. And I would also temper expectations because there's going to be growing pains here. He missed a lot of time this summer. That shouldn't generate any angst. He's back on the practice field. He was working after practice on the final training camp day with Sean Mannion. So he's really taken, he mentioned the other day about being more professional. And then there's a lot of ways you can interpret that. I have to think that it has a lot to do with just how to approach an injury, the recovery process and things like that. But he is someone that I think don't have to necessarily squint to see him being able to make an early impact. And I would just temper expectations because there are players who are further ahead of him in terms of knowledge of this offense, but he's a first-round pick. They're going to find a way to get. And another area to keep an eye on would be Mekhi Lemon potentially as a punt returner. He's worked there when he has been on the practice field. He was one of the 4 players repping there final day of practice, along with Britton Covey, Cooper DeJean, and I believe Quez Watkins. So of those players, I mean, Cooper DeJean's not going to do it. Quez Watkins and Britton Covey in all likelihood aren't going to be on the roster. And so I think Mekhi Lemon has a good bet to at least see that. And I would like to see him get a couple reps if he does, in fact, play on Friday.
Yeah, and obviously a lot of expectations for Lemon, and they've got Hollywood Brown here. What about Darius Cooper? Is he a guy, too, that could, I asked the question because I'm looking at the Green Bay offense the last couple of years, and they've just had 4 or 5 guys. One guy has 700 yards, another guy has 600. I would imagine Devontae Smith is probably the main guy, but is there enough in this offense for 3, 4 wide receivers? That typically has not been the case here.
Right, and it's important to remember that they're going to, in all likelihood, spread the football around in this West Coast offense, and it is a true West Coast offense, but it's going to run through Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley, I believe, is going to have a larger role in the passing game. You have Dontavian Wicks, and you have Mekhi Lemon. So I always like to, temper expectations there with Darius Cooper. What we saw this summer is real. He's a big time contributor in training camps, and he was involved in the offense. But you also have to keep in mind the offense that they're in. They're not a pass centric team. They are a low volume passing attack, and it's going to be all about the running game, Saquon Barkley and the Eagles offensive line. And then, of course, the headliners in the passing game, which I mentioned, it's going to funnel through them first and foremost.
All right, Andrew, DiCecco football at 4 tomorrow night. The Eagles take on the Bengals in the last preseason tilt there. You mentioned some things on the offensive side. Obviously, the defense could be very, very good this year. I want to get your thoughts on the last couple of years. I thought the question to Fangio yesterday when asked about Jalen Huntley, how good could he be? Is this what you expected? My question is more, are we ready to see Jalen Hunt be the guy on this defense in terms of pass rush?
I think he's close. I think he just might be there, Mike. What I've seen from Jalen Hunt is a player who went from 241 snaps as a rookie, 693 last season, where he led all Eagles pass rushers in snaps, sacks with 6.5, led the team in interceptions, and led the edge rushers in quarterback hits, which I believe was 24. So every year he's taken, the first 2 years, he's taken a big step forward from year 1 to year 2. And this summer, there hasn't been a day that's gone by where I haven't written down number 58, and number 97 in my notes. He has been an absolute force off the edge, but he's also an effective two-way player now. He's filled out his frame, and I say this a lot, but a lot was made about his athleticism, and it was widely expected that he was going to be a work in progress and take a little bit of time to develop. But I think the technical aspect of the game has now caught up to the athleticism, and he's able to play freely. He has a better idea of how to combat tackles and counter moves, and has a much deeper arsenal of pass rush moves from which to choose from. So I think he is ready to take that next step this year. That's something that I actually asked Vic Fangio about in the spring, and he pretty much said, he gave a great answer, but he pretty much said he just needs to keep doing what he's doing. So I think the sky's the limit for him, and I think the Eagles are well equipped to handle the absence, should there be an absence of Jonathan Grenard from, in week 1 or whatever the case is, with Jalix Hunt. But also Nolan Smith has quietly had a nice training camp as well. He's healthy. He's extremely violent and physical off the edge, and I think he's gotten a lot of pressures, and he's also filled out his frame a little bit more as well.
All right. You wrote about Ty Robinson over at InsideTheBirds.com, and yesterday Vic Fangio was asked about him on a couple different questions regarding him. This guy was a 4th-round pick, and I think is way down the depth chart here. But one of the things that Fangio said, you got to do it against better players. You don't get that opportunity. So no matter what Robinson does tomorrow night, do you see him having any role on this team?
Yeah, well, you got to earn those opportunities, right? Byron Young has earned those opportunities. So, for example, whether it's Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Mora Ojimo, whatever they needed a spell, Byron Young was the first guy up there because he's proven it. It's hard to do it when you don't get those opportunities, but, you have to earn those. And what I will tell you about Ty Robinson is that it seems around the midway point of training camp, he got off to a slow start. And I don't know if it had any coincidence, but right around the time where he got into a little dust-up with Tyler Steen, it almost awakened a sort of confidence in him where he was approaching things differently. He talked about Clint Hurt and in the exit meetings, emphasizing to him to really refine and grow in terms of mobility and flexibility to eliminate some stiffness and not being lopsided. And that's something that I think has really been reflected in his reps. When you're watching him play now, you're seeing someone who has a little bit more wiggle to him and isn't as stiff of an athlete. The strength has never been a question. It's about the other elements of that game that you need to be an effective player. And for right now, he's done all the right things. It's going to be on him to make sure that he stays on schedule. And if he's able to do that and earn the trust of Vic Fangio, and that is sort of stems from consistency, and he will be able to carve out a few more snaps than he did last season.
Fangio talked about the battle at safety with Epps and Michael Carter, and he said it's close. Michael's been doing a good job back there. What is the battle that those two guys right now are? Where do you see Epps and Carter?
Yeah, what's interesting about Vic Fangio and playing safety in his defense is that I don't know that you need to be a superstar. You need to be someone who is fundamentally sound, highly intelligent, and there's not going to be a high variance nature to your game. And that's Marcus Epps. He's not going to make the big play, but he's often going to be in the right position to make those tackles, make those plays, smart football player. But for all that, and that's great, I think Michael Carter's had the better training camp. But I think that what maybe works against Michael Carter here, through no fault of his own, is that he wears 3 different hats. He can play safety, he can play nickelback, of course, and he's their dime defensive back as well. So I think Vic Fangio, if you listen to his answer and you're able to kind of sift through it, you could tell that he's really enamored with his versatility, and that may prove to be too valuable. But Carter had 3 interceptions in training camp. He's rangier. He has really good short area quickness. He sees things quickly, and I like his eye discipline. I was a big fan of the player watching him with the New York Jets, and he has a lot of his skills and tools from nickelback that have translated to the safety position, but he's still new to it. And I think there is a comfort level there with someone like Marcus Epps. So I do believe that it will be Marcus Epps week 1 at safety when the Eagles are in their nickel package.
And then you asked about Andre Sam yesterday. I think that was you anyway. Is he in the mix at all?
Andre's had a really good camp, and I thought he had a really good 2 practices there in New England. He was really physical. There's something to be said for a player, and Vic Fangio does not throw away practice reps. He's not going to put you out there and if he believes that you're going to mess things up. Andre's seen a ton of reps, all with the second team, very sporadically with the first team. And I think right now he's 27 years old. It's hard for me to envision the Eagles feeling the need to keep him, knowing that they've waived him for 2 years now. He's made it to the practice squad. He just seems to be a very dependable practice player who they can elevate on game day, and I think they're really comfortable there. But if you listen to what Vic Fangio said, he called him reliable and trustworthy, which that was my read throughout the summer and really last year. But I don't know that it's hard for me to envision them keeping Andre Sam or even Gushikin or Maximus Pulley, just given the way the roster's structured right now.
All right. He was asked about the defensive backs yesterday, the cornerback depth right now. And he said, I feel good about Quignon and Rick. And of course, Jones has been hurt. I think he's back there now, but
you said Reek?
Reek Woolen. Yep. So Q, Reek Woolen, Jonathan Jones, he mentioned, but he said he missed a lot of time. Do you think he feels comfortable with that room right now?
Well, it's hard to imagine that he does, but this is the group that they're working with right now, Mike. And you can argue that they have, and it would be a compelling argument that the Eagles have the top three cornerback group. I'm throwing Cooper DeJean in there as the nickel back. But beyond that, there's a lot of questions. Jonathan Jones last practice on, I believe, August 8th. Now, he is a veteran. He's going to be 33 in September. That's 33 in NFL years. But is that someone that you can rely on to get through a full season, or is that sort of a precursor of what might come, what might follow? Mac McWilliams is someone that he's had some positive moments. They haven't been consistent moments. He hasn't been able to sustain that. There's been practices where he's showing signs of encouragement, and then there's been some opportunities that I'm sure he'd like to have back. But he is someone who can play nickelback and he can play outside. So you like that there. He was a draft pick last year, so that does count for something. And Keely Ringo is a player that is a tremendous special teamer, but he's at best a fifth corner. I don't think that Vic Fangio, and under any circumstances, would want to put him out there. But I do get the sense that Vic likes him a little bit. He's gone out of his way to prop him up and commend him on some of the things that he's done. There have been some positive moments in camp, not enough, but I think he's pretty safe, especially when they released safety JT Gray, who is a three-time All-Pro and one of the NFL's best gunners for a number of years now. When you release someone like that, well, I think Ringo's your gunner and going to be your core special teamer.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. Who's your backup quarterback?
If I'm making the call, it's Andy Dalton. I think there's a lot of value of having someone who has experience in this system. He's in his 16th season right now. He can be an effective sounding board for Jalen Hurts. And I don't know that there's been a big enough discrepancy between Andy Dalton and Tanner McKee this summer to sway it one way or the other. I would default to the veteran and give you that stability there. I'm also not as high on Tanner McKee as it seems like many are, but that's kind of where I'm at with it.
All right, Andrew DiCecco. By the way, you an Alice Cooper guy at all?
Yeah, I like Alice Cooper. I saw him open for him and his band, which was outstanding, open for Motley Crue in about 2015, when that was supposed to be the final tour for Motley Crue. I have that poster. They're still touring right now, Mike. Explain that to me.
I don't know, man, but Cooper's playing Halloween night in Atlantic City. I don't know. Alice Cooper Halloween could get a little kooky at that show, don't you think?
That's something I might entertain if it works with my schedule.
All right, we'll have to take a look. October 31st, Halloween night, Alice Cooper. We might have to do that show. I know we're trying to find. I got to find something for us to go to here before it gets too late here. All right, man. We'll talk next time we talk. We'll be getting ready for the Washington Commanders. It'll be fun. Thanks, bud.
I'm gonna hold you to that, Mike, and I will talk to you next week.
Take care, man. Godsmack, October 23rd. I'm not the biggest Godsmack guy in the world. I don't know that Andrew's a Godsmack guy either. But they are playing at the Hard Rock. The Collective Soul show that was supposed to be this Saturday has been canceled. Actually, I say canceled. It has been postponed. Apparently, somebody in the band is sick, and they're going to make that up. It actually worked out for me because I wanted to go see the Collective Soul show, but I could not go this Saturday. So depending on when the new date is, I may now be able to go to see that show. So I guess I'm somewhat happy that the guy got sick. Maybe he stayed in the fart room too long. Who knows? I don't know what happened to the guy. I'm just a bunch of their shows have been recently canceled, and the one not canceled, postponed, and they will be making that up. I have not seen a new date for the show yet, so when I do see the new date for the Collective Soul show, I will let you know. That was supposed to be this Saturday night at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. I saw them play not too long ago. I guess last year they played with Live and Our Lady Peace.
You said the show was very good.
It was very good. I'm a big Our Lady Peace fan. I was upset, not upset. Not the right word. I was disappointed that Our Lady Peace only got 30 minutes. But Collective Soul was really good. I mean, they killed it. And they were with Live. I'm not the biggest Live fan in the world. They're okay.
I like Live.
I don't dislike of it. I was there to see Our Lady Peace and Collective Soul, and Collective Soul was
The winner.
the headliner for this show coming up on Saturday night. Sports Pass Live, 97.3 ESPN. A lot of interesting shows coming up, by the way. I was doing a little research on this. Collective Soul was supposed to be this Saturday night. Taking Back Sunday is actually playing. I haven't heard from them in quite some time.
I was going to say, that's a throwback.
They are playing in September. Fish has got a 3-night stand. That's at Boardwalk Hall. You've got Chicago's coming. I wouldn't mind seeing Chicago. I like a good horn. Doobie Brothers are coming to the Hard Rock. I actually wouldn't mind seeing John Fogerty with Steve Winwood.
That's a throwback.
That's a nice little mix right there. A couple other shows that are interesting coming up to the area. All right, coming up, Sports Bash Live. Got Nuggets on the way. I haven't talked to Earnshaw, it feels like forever. I feel like we're always missing each other. He's so busy now.
You talked to him once since you've been back.
I know.
And I wasn't here that day.
He wasn't here. So Nick's Nuggets is on the other side. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Football at 4 is always brought to you by Fanatic Sportsbook, Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. We're back for another season at Fanatics. And, of course, Sebastian Maniscalco, September 17th through the 20th, 24th through the 27th is at Ocean Casino Resort. More Sports Bash on the way. All right, 4:30 Sports Pass Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. We've got Nuggets on the way. Kevin Cooney has his Cooney report tonight. Where could a new Lincoln Financial Field be in the future? He wrote about that at his new Substack. Right now, it's time for Earnshaw and the Nuggets here on the Sports Pass Live, 97.3 ESPN. For today's edition of Nick's Nuggets. What's going on, Nick, man? I feel like I know we had one Nuggets this week, but I feel like I just haven't seen her talk to you. What's going on? You got like a beard or anything? You growing anything?
No, I shaved. I actually shaved. It's starting to come back. I shaved yesterday. It's getting back quicker now a little bit. I got a haircut the other day, So yeah, got a lot going on.
Cleaned up. Now, when you get a beard, you have like the Amish looking beard?
Yeah, a little bit. It comes in a little patchy. Like the one side's better than the other. So I like the little scruff. I like keeping like a little scruff there. I don't like the full beard. Not a fan. I can't do a mustache either. I don't look right with a mustache. It's no good. Nobody wants to see me with a mustache. It looks like a caterpillar's on my lip.
I'm not sure anybody looks good with a mustache.
Some may beg to differ. Me, never will do the stash. Yeah. Never.
No.
My dad was a goatee guy. I can't pull off the goatee. It doesn't come in right.
Yeah, I'm not I have enough facial hair for the goatee, but for whatever reason, it just never had the right look.
Yeah, I just like the little bit of scruff you can see if you're watching on like YouTube or X. Like I got a little bit, just a little bit. Like I like keeping that. That's nice.
Now, how often do you get your hair cut?
I would say once a month. Once a month. Yeah, once a month. Keep the look. Going.
Trim. I'm like, I feel like my girlfriend said to me the other night, I said to her this morning, I said, I feel like I need to go get my hair cut. She's like, I feel like you're getting your hair cut more. Is my hair growing more as I'm getting older here?
Yeah, I got like 1 month and a half. Usually I keep it, keep it nice and square.
Now, today was going to be the day, but I forgot I'm going out to dinner tonight. So you had to push the haircut down to a different day.
Yeah, and I got my girl, I go to the same girl every time. Like, she is my person. I can't go anyone else. She knows how to do my hair correctly. And that's how I want it.
Yeah, I switch a little bit. I usually go to the same guy, but every once in a while, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try to switch it up. Just like randomly, I'll get a little spell.
Yeah, I hear you. All right. Well, I heard you mention Kevin and talking about the stadium. Are you I would like to keep it in the sports complex, keep it in that area. But are you pro dome or no dome?
I don't really care either way, particularly because I don't really ever go to Eagles games. As a fan of just the pure sport, I would rather it be out, like the elements be involved. I don't really need to see the dome. I'm not like I want to see it. Like I would say anytime I've gone to a game inside of a dome, it just doesn't feel right.
Have you've been to New Orleans though? Like, or no, you've only been twice to New Orleans. You haven't been inside the Superdome.
I have not been into the Superdome.
That was fun. In New Orleans, going to a Birds Saints game, that was a lot of fun. It had a feel.
I'm trying to think.
It had a
feel. I don't think I've ever been to a football game in a dome. I've been to like the Phillies game when they were in Milwaukee. The roof was closed.
Baseball's a little different. I feel like baseball, you need to play outdoors. That dome, not a fan in baseball. Now, football, Eagles, I think they should go retractable roof. I think retractable roof because then you get the best of both worlds. You're still outside, and then if you want to have the big events, they'll have the Super Bowl, the March Madness, the Final Fours. Bang! You get the retractable roof. It's covered. You're good. I think they should go retractable roof. If they go new stadium, now if they just upgrade the link, that's different. But if they go new stadium, bang, you got to go retractable roof because then you get the best of both worlds.
Sure. I mean,
people are upset. They don't want a dome. They don't want a dome. People don't want a dome, but some people do. I prefer retractable roof because then you get both.
Yeah, I mean, I would think if you're picking one over the other, I would just do retractable roof. The problem is, like, if it's a day that has snow or the elements, you're going to close the roof.
Yeah. Yeah. So what?
Just takes away some of the best memories of games that people have had. Ask people games that they remember. They're going to go Lions game. They're going to go Rams playoff game.
Sure.
They're not going, oh, you know that controlled environment? That was one of my favorite moments.
I said this. I think that they should have a fan vote prior to the game. Like leading up to that week, does the roof stay open or is it closed? That's what I think they should do. If they were to get a retractable roof, have a fan vote every single week, whether they want it open or closed. And then whoever is the leading vote getter, bang, that's what's going to happen on Sunday or Monday.
Yeah, I was up at the Bills Stadium the other day. Now, the new Bills Stadium's getting a lot of backlash. Yeah, so people aren't liking it. They said the video board's too small. There's a lot of, obstructed views. The stadium from the outside is unbelievable. It's humongous.
Yeah.
But building a new stadium doesn't always mean, like, you're getting this great new thing. Like,
yeah.
I think the Eagles, I don't feel like they need a new one.
Yeah, but they're seeing all these new like the one in LA, the one in Atlanta. Like they're seeing all these new stadiums pop up and they want to get in on the action. Link's a little dated. I don't think it's that dated. Like the bank's going to last forever. Like I think that's going to be this generation's like Fenway and last for a long, long, long time.
I agree. I think the baseball, I said I'll be 50 in January. I don't know that I'll ever see another baseball stadium.
You are getting up there. Yeah, I don't think you will. 50.
Well,
5-0. Oh,
yeah.
Man, how's that feel? It's close. We're getting into fall now. It's right around the corner.
Doesn't feel great, let me tell you.
I'm halfway there. I'm actually more than halfway there, being 26 now.
Uh-huh. I hurt my forearm. I had to use the plunger today, not for the toilet. But I had to use the plunger for my shower. My shower's been getting a little backed up a little bit. Yeah. So I had to use the plunger for that. And I had like a knot in my forearm for about 45 minutes afterwards. I was like, because I was violently using the plunger.
All right. Well, I think that's when we'll start the Nuggets off the plunger talk. All right. I think that's
I need to get some Drano. We're out of Drano at my house.
Go to the store, get some Drano, would you? All right, let's get into the Nuggets. I do want to respond.
Wait, how long is the Drano supposed to work for? I feel like I go through like bottles of Drano. Like the girls have hair. The hair goes in the drain, it clogs it up.
I don't have that problem right now. I don't have that problem right now. Yeah. I don't know how long it's supposed to last, to be honest.
Well, I've gone through like 5 bottles of Drano, it feels like, in the last month.
Yeah, the hair, all that stuff. Yeah, and the makeup.
I haven't even been home.
Yeah, it's true. You haven't. You were gone for a while. You were. Wow, you need a lot of Drano. You should get two bottles, I guess, every time you go out.
Two bottles. Go to Sam's Club. You get two. Get the big red thing. You pour that whole thing in there. You know what I mean? It's like. Jeez,
a lot of Drano. That's more Drano than I think a human needs in their dwelling.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yep. Well, with that being said, Nugget number 1, response to the poll question today. Yeah. Which Eagles wide receiver will have the biggest season outside of Devontae Smith? Mekhi Lemon, Dontavian Wicks, Hollywood Brown, Darius Cooper is what you put out on the Twitter X platform, and Dontavian Wicks running away with it at 78%. I tend to agree with that. I would have liked the question phrased differently, Mike Gill. Can I explain why?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I would have put pass catcher. And I think Dallas Goedert's going to have a major year.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, but I wanted to go wide receiver because I already think that Goddard's going to have a big year. In fact, I said the other day, I think that he will have the second, will be the second target on this team.
Yeah, you and I are in lockstep with that. I think Dallas Goedert is going to play a huge role in this offense. The other night, I know people were complaining, Jalen Hurts threw a couple of interceptions, but that one touchdown of Mekhi Lemon, having him in the backfield and wheel routing it out, scoring the touchdown, that's a little creativity from Mr. Sean Mannion there. So very much enjoyed seeing that. I think they're going to find ways to get Goddard over the middle. I think you're going to see different crossing patterns, etc., from the tight end spot. I don't know how much Eli Stowers is really going to give you this year. You hope down the line he gives you something at some point. But Goddard, I think this is the year he really makes a leap in production, just because you lose A.J. Brown, different offense, you're going to spread the ball around. I think Goddard's going to be that safety blanket for Jalen Hurts even more so this year, and they're going to scheme him open a lot and use Devontae and Mekhi as decoys at times.
Yeah, I think the tight end in this offense, specifically Goddard, it's a little disappointing to hear Eli Stowers has not really had much of an impact at all. But I think Goddard has a big year as long as he stays healthy. You saw what Tucker Kraft was doing with the Patriots last year. We looked at his numbers. He was averaging almost 16 yards a catch for the Packers last year before he got hurt. But finding the end zone, I think he will be a big red zone threat as well.
Yeah, if you're, people are starting their fantasy leagues up right now, I would say Goddard's the guy. Like, you got to take Goddard as one of the top tight ends, like right away. I have in one of my leagues, I have the 12th pick, so I have the back-to-back. I don't know if I'll be able to get Goddard. I don't like having the last pick.
In the first round?
Yeah, well, there's 12 people. I have the 12th pick. Look at my buddies.
Yeah, but you're not going to take him in the first round.
No. But at some point, I'd like to take him, 4th, 5th, maybe somewhere around there. But I don't think I'll be able to because I'm kind of stuck with these back-to-back picks, and it's going to be a long time before I pick.
I'm not in fantasy football mode at all. My buddy today I saw that's in my league, he was asking me what pick I have. I said, you know what? Honestly, I don't even remember.
Yeah, I've been slacking. I've been so
removed from everything, So he said he was like, "What pick you have?" I said, "I don't even remember." Because in our league, the way that it works is depending on what place you finished in the year before. Like if you finish in 5th place, you get the first choice of where you want to pick the next year.
Oh, see, we just do the hat on. We did the hat on FaceTime. It wasn't even the commissioner. He didn't even attend because he's a dork. And so one of our guys, he put all the names in a hat and picked them out of the hat. And every year I either get the pick 8 or less. Like it's either 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12. I'm never in like the top 5. I got that one time, won the whole league. So when I get a top 5 pick, I win. But being in those later picks, man, sometimes rough. Now this year might be okay. But going back to the Birds, like. Yeah, Goddard would be a guy I would target because I think he's going to have a major impact. And we saw what Tucker Kraft did, like you mentioned, last year in the Packers offense, which Sean Mannion was a part of. I think that is something to very much look forward to. In Goddard, you hope he stays healthy.
Always. That's the big thing with him. If he stays healthy, I think he has a monster year this year.
Yeah, that's my guy. So I'm going with. So I'm going to go Goddard. But if I had to choose from the Twitter poll on X, I would go Dontavian Wicks as well.
Seems like people are liking Wicks, man. That was who DiCecco went with.
Yeah, I think Wicks would be the guy for sure in this offense if we were to pick someone. All right. Let's get to that.
I get behind that one. I liked Lemon on draft night, but he's been disappointed with this hamstring problem.
Yeah. All right. Nugget number 2. This, I don't know if you saw this. We don't have the audio for it, but I was scrolling. This actually I saw right before we came on. Bernard Kausler, who's the new owner of the Seattle Seahawks, following their Super Bowl win. The Seahawks were sold. Things are getting approved. They had a press conference with Roger Goodell today. He will be I want to stress, the new owner of the Seattle Seahawks. And during his introductory press conference, he talked about, and he's a very successful businessman, et cetera, investor, all that stuff. Very successful man. But he made it kind of a snafu during his press conference today. And he was talking about, when he came to the United States in 1976, the Pittsburgh Steelers were dominating the NFL, winning Super Bowls, et cetera. He claimed he's still a Steelers fan and still watches all of the Steelers games during the NFL season during his introductory press conference as the Seattle Seahawks new owner, a team the Seahawks lost to in one of their Super Bowl appearances. And he's still a fan. He said specifically that he's still a fan of the Steelers. And you can see the guy next to him kind of going, you probably shouldn't have said that. I don't know if that's a great introductory to a new fan base as the new owner of a different team than the team you said you were a fan of still.
Problem is, these owners nowadays, like, it's not like family ownership. How about the guy who just bought the group that just bought the Lakers? He said he admitted that he was Bob Iger, right? He's a Knicks fan.
Yeah. Well, that's no, that's not that's no good. Like, you have to change your allegiance.
Well,
Like,
we know that Jeffrey
Lurie,
Lurie was a
changed his
Patriots fan. Yeah.
but he changed his allegiance, right? He went all in on the Eagles. He didn't come out and say, like, hey, I'm a Patriots fan still, even though I own the Eagles. Like, come on. I don't know if your introductory press conference is the best thing to say, you know?
Probably not a great. Well, now, who was the woman who just bought the Padres? She was a firecracker when she had her opening press conference the other day. Did you see that?
Yes. I believe she's a musician. And she's married to one of these finance guys, you know.
Yeah, she was like
bought the
taking
team.
pictures of the
Yeah.
media. She wanted to take a picture of them.
Yeah. That was fascinating. You know, it's funny. We're getting a lot of it feels like we're just selling off teams left and right here. Like, you're selling them for $10. It's like 10 billion is like $10 now, you know?
The Timberwolves are for sale again.
Yeah. Well, Seattle, and then the Dodger situation, that's just a whole nother thing.
Right. We're in a situation now, though, where like you're not going to have teams owned by like a family in the town or something like that. It's all money that's coming from all over the place. It's just gotten out of hand.
Yeah, it's getting ridiculous, and teams are being sold like left and right at the moment, and it feels like it's just something easy to do. Like, yeah, we're gonna sell the team for we made about $4 billion off this team, and
it's like
you're selling stocks.
It's like you buy your house like at a certain time, and if you happen to buy it at the right time, you know, all of a sudden the value goes up, and there's real estate people calling you like, hey, if you want to sell your house right now, I can make you a couple $100,000.
Yeah. It's fascinating. But yeah, like, could you imagine an owner coming into Philadelphia and saying they were a fan of another team? Like, let's say Jeffrey Lurie, you know, who was going into this whole game.
I saw it.
Yeah, but like, the reaction here would not be the same as maybe Seattle.
Well, I mean, like, for instance, Josh
People will
Harris
be
didn't
upset.
essentially come in and say he was a Sixers fan.
Yeah, but he didn't come out and say he was a Knicks fan, you know? Like, he didn't come out and say, I love the
Oh,
ball.
I mean, coming out and saying it is probably not the smartest thing to do.
That's all my point. I understand guys now, they're going to come out, and, you know, they're probably fans of other teams in the past, Jeffrey Lurie being one of them. Not saying, but they embraced the community that they were entering. That's all. And they didn't come out and say, I love that other team that I don't own, actually.
Right, exactly. Well, I come in here being a fan of a team that's not my own team.
Yeah.
It's like Golic today for the Golic Minute. He said he's a fan of two teams.
Okay.
Cleveland and Arizona, and he hopes that they face against each other in the World Series.
No. There is no being fans of two teams in one sport. You can't do it. I don't want to hear the AFC, NFC, NL, AL type of thing, East, West. No. You are not allowed to be a fan of two teams. Why do
you think it is? Like, when I was a kid, I was NL Phillies, AL Red Sox.
No, your allegiance goes one.
I understand, but I'm saying, but I didn't do East and West. I did National American. I did AFC, NFC, but I didn't do East and West. Like, I didn't have a basketball team in the East and the West, or a hockey team. But for football and baseball, I did.
Well, remember, baseball had no interleague play as well. So that's why people did that.
My AL team was the Red Sox.
Yeah, I'm totally against it. Totally against being a fan of two teams. I don't think that is allowed. I think in sports fandom, you got to pick one team. You want to be fans of some players and some personalities? Fine.
Yeah. I dropped it.
No two teams. No, I'm not having that. Not having it.
No, I dropped it. I got rid of them.
All right, you learn. You know, if you're a little kid, all right, I understand. You're figuring things out. All right, fine. But, you know,
I think a lot of the Cowboy fans should have grown up and done the same thing.
Well,
your uncle told you to like the team with the star, and once you got old enough, you said, all right, that was a loser decision. I'll just go to the real team now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have to have one allegiance. When it comes to professional sports in the United States, and you get the four majors, basketball, hockey, baseball, and football, you need to pick one of each. There's no two. You can't have two favorite teams. That's just not how it works. All right. You got to pick one. You're supposed to have like one wife, you know, you're not supposed to have two. That's not how it's really supposed to work. All right. You know, you can't cheat on the one. You know, when they see each other, what's going to happen? You know, it's not going to be good. What side are you going on? You be running back and forth? Like, come on.
Now, are you a proponent that all the sports teams need to be from the same city?
I think that's a little weak sauce. However, I think that's okay as long as you like one team, not two.
Like
one.
I could say I'm a Cowboys fan and a Yankees fan. That's okay.
That's okay. I'll still think you're a loser for doing that because I have friends that are that. I have friends that they bounce around to different cities, which is fine. I have it in my own family. They pick other teams. My brother's a Saints fan and a Phillies fan. I mean, what world is that?
Having teams from different cities is okay.
That's okay, but you can't do the two teams, one sport. Out.
Can I be Notre Dame? Can I go Notre Dame, Yankees, Cowboys?
That's a starter pack right there. They got the Yankee hat, the Cowboy jersey, the jorts, and like the Notre Dame like polo in the closet.
Well, take it up with Golic. He has two teams in baseball, Cleveland and Arizona. His reason is he's from Cleveland and now he resides in Arizona.
You got to figure it out. You got to pick
So is it okay to adopt the team in a city that you live in if you're not from that town?
If you want, you can make the trade-off, but you got to retire the other stuff. Like that has to go away now. That allegiance and that fandom gone. All right, you gotta move on. All right, if you're gonna move on and you're gonna move to a new city,
I'm big on sports is about civic pride. So having pride from where you live is why you root for the teams of where you're from, because you have pride in where you're from. That's why you cheer for the home team.
I hear you, and I'm with you. And that's how we are. But I don't love when you're liking all these teams for all these different cities. But I think that's more okay than like two teams of one sport.
So would you rather him stick with the Cleveland where he's from or his adopted town where he lives now and have civic pride with where he lives?
I think he's got to make a decision. He's got to make a decision.
I know. What's the decision? Home team or adopted home team?
For me, it would be the home team. It would be the home team. That is your team you grew up with. You're all in.
Okay. That's the Nuggets for today. Sports Bash Live. We didn't even get you to the fart room. That was another topic.
I heard about that. And I had one more nugget on the Sixers, but we'll save it. We'll save it for tomorrow.
Jeez.
What a pack.
Kevin Cooney reports coming up next. Here where he thinks the Eagles Stadium could end up. See you, Nuggets.
There's
the Nuggets. He's back tomorrow here on the Sports Bash. Kevin Cooney joins us to tell us where he thinks the next Lincoln Financial Field could be. Don't miss it. It's coming up next on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City, and live on YouTube, 97.3 ESPN. ESPN. No Phils tonight. Eagles don't play till tomorrow, but a good time for Kevin Cooney and his Cooney Report. He joins us now. We'll talk all things Philly sports, but his latest Substack has a lot of people texting in today. If not there, then where? It's almost seems like a fait accompli that the Eagles will have a new stadium. As Kevin asked, the question is, where will it go? It's his latest Substack, the Cooney Report. Check it out. A lot of people have been texting in throughout the show on the article. And it sounds like the Eagles will have a new stadium at some point. You know, Lincoln Financial Field is 24 years old going into the season. The lease is up in 2032. What will they do? Where could it be? Many people believe that it will, in fact, be in Philadelphia. That's a positive. A lot of other cities are thinking about leaving the city limits. So if it's going to be in Philly, what are some of the options? We'll get into that. Some Philly stuff, Eagles thoughts, and more right now with Kevin Cooney, his Substack. The Cooney Report is a must-read, and he joins us now on the Sports Pass Live on 97.3 ESPN. You know, the thought of getting a new stadium has never even crossed my mind when I walk into that place. But we know the financial impact that it could have, and I know you have stated that you would like, you know, the potential of hosting big-time events there. But is it a fait accompli that, number one, they're getting a new stadium, Kevin, and number two, that it would be in the area of town where it currently resides?
Well, and Mike, one, it's good to have you back. I will say, I think it's pretty much a fait accompli based on a couple factors. One, when the governor basically says, you know, I'm not going to say, but they're going to stay in Philadelphia. That to me tells me that they're staying within the city limits.
Well, let me real quick on that note. I mean, listen, I don't like politics at all. I'm with like
Right.
no opinion based on anything. However, can he be the panderer right now and say that because he knows that would get people excited?
And it's also, he is up for re-election,
Correct.
and obviously there's talk of him in 28. But if it didn't stay in Philadelphia, whenever this agreement is done in the next year or so, it does hurt his possibility for what we think he's going to run for in 2028. So let's put that out there. Okay, that's the political end of it.
Mm-hmm.
The other part is, if you look at it from a strictly business perspective, Dallas has a stadium more recently than the Eagles. The Giants have a stadium more recently than the Eagles. Both of them have already hosted Super Bowls. Washington is about to get a brand new stadium, and Josh Harris, that is going to be capable, and certainly sounds like on the old RFK site, that they will be able to host Super Bowls moving forward. A dome stadium, a fixed dome down there. You look at the trend across the league. How many other teams are basically planning new facilities? I mean, you know, you had LA that's already built one. You've had Kansas City that's going outside of the city. We mentioned, you know, you mentioned Chicago. There's a number of teams. Tennessee's getting a new one. There's a number of cities right now that are planning and jockeying. And I think Jeff Lurie feels like if he doesn't keep up with the Joneses, literally, that they will not be able to host these major type of events. And I think it also is Jeff's final legacy to the city, if you will, to give them a Super Bowl, a Final Four opportunity. So, yes, I do think this is coming. I think it is almost a fait accompli because I just don't see them going, you know what, we're happy staying in the 30-year-old park with just a few, you know, a new paint job and maybe some other renovations.
Football, it does seem like the stadium has less character than, say, baseball. You can live in the baseball stadium for 100 years, and there's character there. Football, it doesn't seem to be that way. So I can understand them saying, you know what, let's do something different here. But I don't think either one of us think that the link is dated or needs to be upgraded, right?
No, I think there was some issues that you could say as far as character and all that they had when they opened the building. Remember how the upper deck was not connected, if you will, from the one side to the other. People had to go all the way to the main concourse. They have kind of tried to fix that over the years, and I think that the link has actually been pretty decent in that regard. But I look, I don't know if anybody's going to shed a tear when the link goes down. I just don't. I mean, it's not the vet. It doesn't have its charm of being kind of a dump, but it's not like.
Yeah, but it was somewhat nice.
Yeah. Like it's not the eighth wonder of the world either. Like it's generic stadium, and I think that, to be honest, maybe Jeff wants to just make sure that this is kind of his legacy moving forward here.
It's almost like the Eagles. It was like when the stadiums that got built in baseball before all the retro parks came in. Like if you were the White Sox and you built that place, you were like, damn it, why did we think of that?
Yeah.
So the Eagles built this stadium, and then a couple of years later, these monstrosities got built after them. And it was like, well, we built ours right before all these monstrosities got built, and now we're kind of like the odd man out. So now we have to try to think of doing another one.
And think of it, okay? I'll use the example. The 49ers built Levi's, okay, out in Santa Clara, okay? And it's received a lot of criticism because it doesn't have a lot of ambiance to it. Yes, they've hosted 2 Super Bowls, but it's difficult to get to. It's 45 minutes outside of San Francisco, all this. Where right after they build it, Minnesota gets built, which has that roof that everybody talks about and is, basically shaped like a Viking ship. It has a lot of character. And then SoFi gets built. So if you want to look at it, the Comiskey analogy, Comiskey and Oriole Park, is the one that's kind of at play here with the NFL. And you're now seeing Tennessee come in with like the translucent roof. You saw Mercedes-Benz down in Atlanta. There's a lot of places that have built kind of in the same way that you saw out of SoFi and Minnesota.
Kevin, everybody just always assumes that the stadium, South Philly, that's where they all have to go. Your Substack, though, maps out a bunch of different options. Is it, 100% that any new stadium that gets built will always end up down in the South Philly Stadium District?
Well, let's be honest. The favorite is still the Stadium District. And I mentioned when I was looking at it, the Jetro lot, which is next door, if the Eagles wanted to build there, and then that way they could tear down the parking lot, they could tear down the link, replace the parking that they have at Jetro now, that could be a possibility. But every one of these sites, Mike, has a downside too. I got to mention, and one thing I left out of the article, and I thought about this morning on the way into my teaching job. The one area I didn't put in was the Bellwether District. The Bellwether District is over near the Platte Bridge. It's the old refinery district. If you remember, they had that big explosion there. I want to say like 8-9 years ago, where they had the fireball and all that. It's near the airport. It's near 76. It is kind of an area that I know Dan Hilferty, when he's talked about the South Philly complex they want to build for the Flyers, Sixers, and Phillies, they've talked about trying to expand that window all the way out towards the Bellwether. So that is a possibility as well. But I think most likely the Jetro lot would be the one if they stayed in South Philly. The other one could be the Navy Yard. And I get there's a lot of land back there, but there's also rail lines, like cargo rail lines that go back there. There's you run interference into existing businesses that are already there. That could be a problem. There's still government land there that I'm sure would need some cleanup as well. Penn is always something that gets brought up here. There's that area along 76 that gets brought up at different times. I don't think it fits there. Philadelphia being a very old city and built on the quote grid, the William Penn grid of, you build it and you just slice it up like a brownie mix, if you will, at the end. That does hurt a possibility of a park downtown because it would just make the congestion, everything too much.
So, you mentioned the best option, probably the Jethro lot, which basically would put it about 200 yards to the east there, right? I mean, and then you just put it basically right next to where it currently sits. That's, in your mind, would be the next spot if you build in that, because Stateside Live, the parking lot across the street from Stateside where the vet used to stand, the Phillies would have something to say about that, right?
Well, that's listed right now in this Comcast Phillies development that they've talked about as being a potential for a shopping area or maybe even apartments or whatever. The other problem with it, too, and this is Philadelphia politics, and it's funny because Paul Hagan and I worked together on a book about the Billy Citizens Bank Park and all the different machinations that went into trying to get that built 20-plus years ago, 25 years ago now. I don't know if there's a bunch of houses, basically what will be in the old center field of the vet. Like if you look at that neighborhood there, they do have a lot of political power. I don't know if anybody's going to want to move an Eagles stadium closer to a residential area. And that could be a political powder keg. And I don't know if this is something that Mayor Parker or Governor Shapiro or anybody else really wants to get into at this time.
Kevin Cooney, the Cooney Report, check out his Substack. He's asking where the Eagles may look. Now, the Navy Yard is an interesting spot for me. I know the Sixers had their offices back there at a time. This is a while back. It's a really cool area. It almost feels like they could do more with it, but not sure that 70,000 seat stadium fits on that area. Is that what you're kind of thinking as well? Because I do think that does sound kind of enticing. They almost have it like a gated community of your own football, and then you end up doing something like Atlanta has with the housing and the hotels and the bars and the restaurants back there.
I think the one thing, and it would allow for a parking like conglomeration with where the current sports complex is. You walk under 95, you go, Mike, you've been to Baltimore. It's kind of like that now. You go Inner Harbor, then you go to Camden Yards or whatever, and you can, you're bypassing some highways and all that. But there's another part of the Navy Yard that could be a problem. And it's this, and this also weighs on like the Northeast site for, I mentioned Philadelphia Mills or Franklin Mills, the old Franklin Mills site. There's no public transportation rail-wise that would get to the Navy Yard. The closest stop would be Patterson Avenue. Mm-hmm. They would have to expand the subway into the Navy Yard. Is SEPTA currently, who has a funding shortfall, and we all live through it up here, are they going to be able to generate funds to go do that? I don't think that's likely at this point in this environment. And so if you're encouraging a lot more public transportation, are people going to be willing to take a bus? Are people going to be willing to walk? I mean, Mike, I don't know the last time you took the subway down there, but like the problem that some people have complained about, even at the link, is how far the walk is from the subway station, because of the fact if you're an older person, if it's a bad weather day, whatever, it's not like it used to be at the vet where you popped up the escalator, it's right there, you go in. I think people got spoiled and they realized that, it's a little further away. That could be another problem for the Jethro lot too, if you want to look at it and move it further east.
Yeah, I know that. No, I have not taken the subway. I don't know that I've ever taken, certainly not to a game. I'm always driving from the Philly side, the Jersey side.
Oh, you're spoiled.
Wow,
I'm coming
from the Jersey side. Where am I taking the subway from? But that being said, always on the Jersey side, we are more pro. As my text messages have been coming in all day, everybody wants it to stay in that spot, because if you're coming from Jersey, we don't want to have to go any further than we already have to. Well, don't you live on the Jersey side or no?
No, I'm in Northeast Philly, so I look at it as, I always hear, and with all due respect to my friends in New Jersey, and I got a lot of them, my taxes are the one paying the bill. So at this point,
well, but if like when they were talking about the Sixers, putting the Sixers down there in Chinatown, that's a pain in the ass to get to for us. So I'm like, no, I don't want to go there if I don't have to.
Okay, but it would have helped from a city perspective.
Yeah.
That would have helped businesses. Like, for example, Reading Terminal probably stays open beyond 6 o'clock. It helps restaurants in Center City.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
you're right about the fact that the location of the stadiums is great for the fact that they're all there and there. But there is no
parking. And by the way, let's be honest. Parking's still a nightmare at the current sports complex.
It's not the
and trying to get
parking.
out.
The parking's not the problem. It's the getting the in and the out that's the problem. There's plenty of parking. They're just getting in and out. I don't know how they haven't, at least I say mastered's not the right word, but haven't at least made it manageable with all the parking they have down. They have a lot of parking. They just don't know what the heck to do.
No. But not opening all the gates for everybody to spill out into different gates. They all focus them on one or two, and it creates a mess and all that. The thing I think, the one thing it's not down there is anything, with all due respect to our friends at Stateside Live and Live Casino and all that, you don't spend any money you spend is just going into the arena.
Mm-hmm.
It's not helping, not many people are going over to the Palladium. Not many people are even really,
you're 100% right. You're there to go to a game and that's it. There is no atmosphere there.
And that's part of the problem, I think, with the way that everything has been concentrated within the sports complex. Think about it. The last time a Philadelphia major sporting event occurred outside of the sports complex, okay, was an Eagles game in 1970, okay, at Franklin Field, okay? That's it. Like, we're talking a relic from a previous era. And so, I get the push that I have it to a certain degree that the Sixer Arena had, that some people have for the Phillies ballpark going in Spring Garden or Chinatown or wherever. But realistically, also, again, the city grid doesn't necessarily lend to it either.
Yeah, I know that all these areas, the Braves, what they've done has really sparked a lot of these owners that they want to now own the entire area so that when you do go to the game, you hang out and eat there and drink there and stay overnight there and all that stuff. One of the best parts that used to be when I was younger and I did come from Jersey and we would hang out at the game is I stayed at that Holiday Inn right there all the time, which is now the Live Casino. But that was always like something to do was you went to the little sports bar there, you stayed overnight, you had maybe one too many, but that hotel not being there, that was a memory that is now even gone when you talk about staying up there,
I ain't saying the hotel is still there.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But there was the uniqueness of this place that was just a bunch of people. You know what I mean? It was just like,
and look, I remember, 19, 20 years old, me and my friends, I remember going to a Rolling Stones concert at the Vet and going and watching the NFL on a Sunday at the Turf Club, which is right across the street. Which had the Sunday ticket, one of the earliest places that had Sunday tickets. So we were able to see every NFL game. That was part of the cool part, but you really didn't make an experience of doing that on a regular basis. And I think that's part of the problem. Yes, Chicken and Pizzas is packed after games and everything, but a lot of that also is people in the neighborhood who just want to go to a sports bar to go watch a game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, listen, there's no question that area has its uniqueness, that the four are there, but it also really offers nothing other than I'm going to a game and I'm driving there and I'm driving out.
It's not Wrigley. It's not Fenway.
No.
It's not Lambeau. And all those are built into a neighborhood. It's a relic from another time, but that's one thing Philadelphia is not.
So I know that we're saying that the stadium will remain in Philly, and it almost sounds like South Philly or somewhere within the city limits. But if they didn't, where would you say a good spot for it would be? Where?
God, I think King of Prussia would probably be the next likely one.
Geez, that would be awful for us.
Because there's some area out there that they can build, some of the industrial parks, some of the retail out there, not in the mall itself, but there's some of the like the strip malls and everything they could maybe work around and all that. But honestly, I think Mike, I'm 95% certain it's going to be in Philadelphia. I know there was rumors of Jersey. Right. I know there was rumors of Delaware getting involved, Delco. I just don't see that part. I think it's going to be either at Bellwether or it's going to be at the Jetro lot.
Yeah, I know that, you go to one of these other states like a lot of these teams do to try to get a tax break or some sort of abatement or something. But I would agree. I think it probably fits the best there. And I'll ask you this.
The wild card in this, I think, is the Philadelphia Mills site up here in the Northeast, because it does have easy proximity in 95. It has easy proximity, if you will, to the Pennsylvania Turnpike. And it's not far from the connection to the New Jersey Turnpike, which is around like that Trenton, or like, as you get like up that way. I could see that being in play. Plus, it's 175 acres. So if they wanted to build your training complex and build your stadium and have all the parking and a complex, that would be one area I could see, but it's already kind of under contract with somebody. So it's going to be interesting to see maybe if that falls through, if that becomes another option.
I'll ask this question as well. I said, yes, we're going to get a new Eagles stadium probably at some point. Do you think that we will see another Philly stadium in our lifetime?
No, I'm pretty confident the Phillies are there in another 30, 40 years. All the improvements they made on the ballpark, it's generally considered a top 10 ballpark. I think it's the right size, and I think that they do enough of the upkeep and everything that I think there's a connection there that I think. And look, and also the Phillies going into this thing with Comcast when it gets done, when they get their new arena on the Spectrum site and all that. I think there's enough there that pretty much links the Phillies in for like the next 40 or 50 years.
All right. That I agree with. I definitely agree. I don't think we'll see another Phillies stadium. I think that could be, it'll be interesting to see what that place looks like 30, 40 years from now, the area around it. Is it just still sitting on a parking lot, or do they start to build around that place and make it more of a destination?
Well, but think of it. It's also of those three stadiums in that complex, it's the only one I think that everybody universally loves. You go to an Eagle game, but I don't know if people have this fondness for the Link. I know people don't have a huge fondness for fill in the name of the arena here. Like it's kind of generic.
It's funny you say that too, because you're like, it's an arena. What kind of, that's one of the things that has lost, arenas. They're all these cookie cutter arenas now. Like everybody, we talk a lot about what has happened to home court advantage in sports or home ice advantage. It says, well, back in the day, these arenas used to have their own uniqueness to them. They're all the same now. They all have the same music. They all have the same lights. They all, these arenas just, they don't give it to you anymore. Although I went to the Warriors Sixer game in San Fran when the Super Bowl was out there this year.
Right.
And I got to say, that place was pretty nice.
And I'll give you another one. I love Barclays. I think Barclays is one of those. I used to go up for the A10 tournament and some other basketball events and everything. It's cool how it's kind of built into the neighborhood. It is public transportation reliant and all that. The problem is the Nets stink.
Yeah.
It's probably a better basketball arena, like just to watch a game, than MSG. But MSG has all the atmosphere because it's the Garden.
Kevin Cooney, check out the Substack. It's a good read on the stadium. We had a lot of text messages of people. It doesn't seem like anybody wants a new stadium, or it certainly doesn't want a roof. I know that's a battle that you can fight another day with us here on the Sports Bash. All right, man. Good to catch up.
No problem. Thanks, Mike.
Kevin Cooney, everybody. At Kevin Cooney. Check out his Substack there and read that full article. He maps out a bunch of different sites that, would be under consideration for an Eagles stadium. Good conversation with him. All right, when we come back, it is the Sports Bash Live. It is Phillies Fastball. We'll talk more about the game from last night. And I want to get Oscar's take on knowing the road home splits, would he consider Jesus Luzardo for a game one in the playoffs if the Phillies were on the road? We'll have that and more coming up next on the Sports Bash Live this hour of the show, brought to you by Cross County Connection. All right, 5:32, time for today's Phillies Fastball, brought to you by Ventnor Social, the place to go to watch every Phillies game. No Phils tonight, but plenty to discuss. Yesterday, we saw Jesus Luzardo, maybe one of his best games that he's ever pitched in a Phillies uniform. Dominant yesterday. So the question we come right out of the chute with today for Oscar and today's Phillies Fastball, this is the fastball today. If your game is on the road, game one in the playoffs, with the splits that we know, is Jesus Luzardo your game one starter if you're pitching on the road? What do you got?
I would be tempted. To me, the pecking order is number one. It would be Wheeler. As long as Wheeler comes back, which I would expect, he'll be my number one starter. I know that Christopher Sanchez probably has pitched better than Wheeler over the last 2 years, but I mean, Wheels is a big-time pitcher, big-time game. We did it in 2022 with him. He delivered. To me, Wheeler would be number one. I think if we're on the road, I probably pitch Luzardo too. Let me put it this way. I'll change that, Mike. If we win game one, I go with Sanchez. As long as we're on the road, because I want Luzardo to pitch that game three. If we're able to win that second game with Sanchez, then we can go and start with Luzardo on a championship, the following the divisional championship. So, look, it's going to depend a lot. If we're at home, it's a different story.
I was shocked when I saw the splits from Luzardo today. I mean, he is 8-0 on the road, and his numbers at home have been, I don't want to say terrible, but compared to his road numbers, meanwhile, Sanchez, completely different pitcher at home in a way. It almost sold me that if you're playing at Wrigley Field for game number one, that if Wheeler doesn't turn things around, I might have to go with Luzardo in game number one.
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, if Wheeler continues pitching the same way he's been pitching over the last 6 starts, you're going to have to consider doing different things because he won't be ready. But look, Wheeler has done this for such a long time. He'll turn it around. I mean, there's no doubt they might skip a start, and believe me, he's not going to be happy about it, but they might skip his next start on Sunday, but I do believe that he's going to be back in full swing. And if that is the case, this guy is a big-time pitcher, has done it many, many times. The other thing that we need to consider, and we haven't thought about, is how good how good Christopher Sanchez pitched in that last game against the Dodgers. In that fourth game in LA, he did really good. He allowed 2 runs, but over like 5 innings, and he looked really, really good. So, look, I do trust Christopher, but, I mean, right now, look at these numbers, which are amazing. Jesus Luzardo is 9-1 with a 2.18 ERA in the last 17 starts. And the Phillies, in those 15 starts, they're 15-2. So it's like, wow, it's incredible. I mean, we knew this guy had a tremendous arm. He was the number one pitcher in baseball when he came out of the Oakland A's farm, now called, I don't know, Sacramento A's or whatever they're called now. But he was the number one pitcher in all baseball. Then he's been traded a bunch of times, but the arm is there, and he's putting it all together right now.
Yeah, listen, it's not a bad decision to have to make. Who should I pitch, Luzardo, Wheeler, or Sanchez, as long as they're all pitching really well. But Luzardo yesterday, he had maybe one of his best outings as a Philly. He goes 7 innings, he goes a shutout, and that helps them win. They also had the big home run from Schwarber. And how about Harper? I mean, there was questions before the season. What kind of season are we getting from Harper here when you look at the big picture here?
I mean, Harper is answering all the questions, and he would tell you that Luis Arraez was God sent to him. He's been screaming for the last few years, wanting a guy that could protect them, and they found the guy. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, the guy has been incredible. I mean, in the month of August, 338, 509 on base percentage, and 1,009 OPS. I mean, that's the Bryce Harper elite that we've been wanting to see for a while. That's the MVP Bryce Harper that have won 2 MVPs in baseball. And look, I don't expect he's going to slow down a little bit, but I will expect that Harper will continue hitting this way. I think the big question the Phillies have to answer is, if Turner continues to struggle, what do you do with Turner? Because I'm telling you, you cannot continue. It's all for like, I don't know, whatever, 17, 18, 19. I mean, it's like we cannot continue having him hitting second and being an automatic out.
I agree. I would ask the question, okay, I'll play along because I agree with you. You can't keep hitting him second, but you also don't have another guy to put there. You almost have to hope that he turns it around.
And the only guy that you could consider putting there would be Bryson Stott because of his speed and what he brings. He's more of a contact hitter, but he's a lefty, and you're going to have four straight lefty. That would be an interesting lineup.
You can't even really do that against a right-handed pitcher because once a team in the playoffs, you get into a bullpen and they throw these lefties at you, you got no shot.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the reality. I mean, just Turner needs to find it. I mean, he needs to turn it around. I mean, in the month of August, Turner 198 with a 267 on base and a 542 OPS. I mean, 11 runs. I mean, this guy is making the big bucks for a reason.
Well, he's making them, but not for a reason yet. He hasn't done anything to earn those big bucks. I'll tell you that. I mean, he has not had one stretch that you were like, okay, he seems to like maybe, or even the year that he was really, really bad for the first couple months, August and September, he really took off and carried the team. Yeah. That has not happened this season at all.
Mike, I'm a little concerned where the Phillies are right now at 5 games behind the Braves. Tonight's game is going to be very, very important. I don't think if the Phillies don't close that gap to a 2-game difference going into that 7-game series, I think it's going to be very, very hard for the Phillies to be able to pass the Braves. I mean, the number 2 is critical. That number 2 games behind in 7 games, you can potentially make it up. But I'm telling you, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. I think, and my biggest concern is what we were just talking about. You don't want to have those 3 games on the road. You want to have them in our home park where we feel much better, a lot more home runs there. And look, let's be I've always thought about this. Both Harper and the legacy of Bryce Harper and the legacy of Kyle Schwarber will depend a lot of what they do in the postseason. And if you look at it, I mean, Schwarber had some home runs, big home runs in the postseason. But if you look at his numbers, they're not really, really good. I mean, Ryan Howard was a much better postseason hitter than he was. So that is something to think about as we start looking into maybe this year and next year. I mean, if they're not able to, do something with the window they have right now in the postseason, they're going to be remembered not as much as what they did to win championship, and more as what they did as individual players.
I'll tell you what, Schwarber, I think I read today that he's made the playoffs every year of his career, but 2019 was the only year he did not make it. Harper obviously has not won a championship. Both those guys, Schwarber has won a World Series, so he does have at least that to kind of, but their Philadelphia legacies will always feel a little empty if they don't get it done here together. And we know, Oscar, they're running out of time. And I don't know how people feel about this particular team, but if you don't get one this year, man, the sand is going through the hourglass.
Yeah, well, I saw the comparison of Ryan Howard and Kyle Schwarber and this morning, and 262 home runs by Ryan and 259 by Kyle. So they're about even in home runs. In WRC plus 135 versus 135. So they're very similar. I mean, if you look at it, the on-base percentage, actually Ryan Howard, believe it or not, which I'm surprised, had a higher on-base percentage for that 6-year peak at 369 versus 354 for Kyle Schwarber. But where Ryan takes him over is in RBI, 796 versus 586. More than 200 RBIs more than Schwarber in a 6-year. And it's part of the reason for that is because they've always hit Schwarber primarily is in leadoff spot. So he don't have a lot of his home runs are with nobody on base, which is it is sad to see that we have not had either a fourth hitter to support Harper or a first hitter, so you can put Schwarber in a much more RBI role than the one he has had so far.
Oscar, it's today's Phillies Fastball. So earlier we were talking about Eugenio Suarez was available for a couple hours that he was released. Would you have been interested in bringing him in here?
Look, he's a countryman, and he helped Venezuela win the World Baseball Classic with a double. But I would not have, and the reason is his profile is very similar to Schwarber in the sense that he either is going to strike out a lot or hit a home run, and this team needs more contact. I mean, those are the type of hitters you need much more in this lineup. Than you have enough Schwarbers and Harpers in here for them to be able to strike out. He's a strikeout machine. I mean, if you look at his profile.
He is, and he doesn't really play very good defense either. And I mean, you texted me a good point is they are getting 2 roster spots next week. So they probably could have at least tried and seen, but I just didn't see the fit either. I kind of agree with you. If he had like 25 homers and was hitting the ball with more power, he just has not had a very good year this year.
And he went last year to play for the Seattle Mariners, and he did not play well at all after he was acquired from Cincinnati. So look, I don't think he's the right guy. I do believe that I think the lineup is in a much better place with Arias in the back, and you've seen the results so far that I feel a little bit more comfortable with the lineup. I think the bigger question for us, as we know all along, is going to be the bullpen. I do believe that with the injury that Cortez had going in the IL, that it's probably going to be Bank coming up and seeing if Bank has anything. If not, they're going to bring Lazar back, and you're going to go back to the carousel of places. I'm concerned about and I do believe that we got to give every chance to the guys that we have right now. But I mean, Riley, for example, every time we're putting him out there, he's allowing a run. I mean, it can be. I mean, he needs to be shut down. We don't have that eighth inning guy shut down. I mean, Boland is the best version that we have right now, and I mean, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I know we were talking about Banks earlier. I would imagine, too, I agree. He'll probably come up, and I wonder if the Phillies hope that he's the guy that kind of fixes that left-handed problem in the bullpen.
I mean, I hope he comes as a better version of what we saw in the beginning of the year, because he was truly awful. I mean, awful in ways that, I mean, that we have not seen in a while. So, I mean, hopefully he can turn it around and he can help us down the stretch. McFarland is another guy that I'd like to see in the next few games to see if they can put him in some high leverage. So maybe he can pitch a 7th in a postseason. I don't know. I like his demeanor. I like what he's shown so far. He's a little bit, he doesn't control his pitches as much as I would ideally want, but I do like his profile. That fastball runs. I mean, he can locate it. So I like what I've seen so far from him.
All right, Phillies Fastball. No Phillies tonight. We'll get you ready for the weekend series. They're going to be in Anaheim. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Then
Painter tomorrow. Painter tomorrow. What version of Painter we're getting? I mean, if we get the last one, we're going to go in places, Mike.
All right, man. We'll do Phillies Fastball tomorrow right here on the Sports Best. Thanks, Oscar.
Thank you, brother.
All right, there we go. Today's Phillies Fastball, always brought to you by Ventnor Social, the place to go and check out every Phillies game this Phillies season. And we're getting down to the final month of the season. And, of course, we'll be all over the Phillies. We got Phillies baseball. First pitch. Listen to the game on 97.3 ESPN. Phillies and the Braves when they come back. It'll be Phillies Braves on 97.3 ESPN. Do you remember? We have that next. Don't go away. All right, 5:52. Do you remember August 27th? Here we go. Got some good ones today, Josh. You ready?
Rock and roll.
Do you remember on this day, 2007, the Phillies started a 4-game home sweep against the division-leading Mets. They won 9-2. That sweep cut the Mets' lead from 6 games down to 2. The Phillies would have a famous late-season push to win the 07 division title. Do you remember?
I do, and that's why all Philly fans still have hope with the 7 games against the Braves coming up.
A little different, though. That was 7 with 17 left. They came back.
It just shows you there's always hope.
The Mets were a dumpster. They were dumpy doodles that year. On this day, 2025, last year. It's kind of a insignificant one, but it has to do with the Mets again, so we'll put it in there. The Phillies lost to the Mets 6-0 in a game on this date last year. Now, I was just kidding around with that one, but let's do another one here. On this day, it was Ricky Henderson, 1982. He stole his 119th base of the season. Wow. On this day in 1982. Can you imagine someone stealing 119 bases in a season, and he did it on August 27th? You know how many bases he stole that year?
150?
130. It's the single season record. Lou Brock had 118. Ricky Henderson has the all-time single season record with 130. He did it on this date in 1982.
I'd like Justin Crawford just get 30.
Yeah, it's been a little disappointing. Also on this day, 2004, the United States men's basketball team lost to Argentina. Manu Ginobili, Luis Scola, and Andres Nocioni. They went on to beat the United States team. They would win the bronze medal to beat Lithuania. But Team USA has lost just one Olympic game since that day in 2004.
The pain of Manu Ginobili in their eye was so bad they had to figure it out.
Do you remember? We'll do it again tomorrow. Those are events that happened on this day, August the 27th. I think the Phillies losing to the Mets 6-0 last year was the best one of the day, right?
Sure.
All right. Good stuff today. Kevin Cooney, I really enjoyed that conversation on the stadium. Check out his Substack there. Of course, Oscar and the Fastball, DiCecco. Fun show. Happy Hour Friday. Back tomorrow.